Chapter 798. This guy is using a top-tier, purple-tier body-tempering battle technique. Each of his pure strength attacks have a strange force. I'm not his match in close combat. I can only draw my sword. Ji Qingming gritted his teeth, and his eyes were sharp. If not for his defensive treasures, he would have been injured by that strange, pure strength. Ji Qingming, who had been attacked crazily by Lin Feng, finally couldn't take it anymore and drew his sword. Forget it. Azure Mystic Ice Sword. Go. Clang. The sword was unsheathed, and it was louder than a dragon's roar. The sword light was as bright as snow, and its entire body was azure and white. Its sharpness was hard to block. With a flash, the sword aura soared into the sky. Ji Qingming's azure robes fluttered loudly as he struck with his sword. The sword light was as straight as a dragon. It looked like one strike, but it actually hid 3 sword techniques. After he struck, his strength increased tremendously, and his attack power increased by more than 10 times. It was so terrifying that all the purple-class true inheritors present were shocked. This was his true strength. Lin Shen's eyes sharpened as he activated the charging rune and summoned the plus 12/5 dragon's Imperial Spear. Rip! The 5-color dragon light tore through the air, and Lin Shen's blood shura pierced forward, burning his blood essence to meet the attack head-on. Boom! The clouds exploded, and the terrifying sword aura twisted Lin Shen, forcing him to retreat rapidly. Finally, he fell to the ground with a loud crash. The moment Ji Qingming struck with his sword, the one who was pushed back was Lin Shen. Lin Shen leaped up like a carp and stood up. A burning desire for battle flashed across his brows. Ji Qingming stood proudly in the air with his sword in hand. His whole body released dazzling star sand, and brilliant starlight shot out in all directions. It revolved around him continuously, and its sharpness was sharp. Within the dazzling starlight, it was as if every bit of light was permeated with the sharpness of a high-grade sword. There was an extremely cold aura hidden within, and it was just a decoration. If one was pierced by a sword, their vitality would be sealed by the cold aura in the sword in an instant. It was extremely terrifying. The dazzling starlight around Ji Qingming's body was like a brilliant stream of stars, and it was injected into the sword in his hand. It made the sword's sharpness sharper, and it was 1 level stronger than before. At this moment, it was as if he had become one with the sword. His unique aura of stars had merged with the sword. Ji Qingming actually activated the stellar sword body. This brat is actually this strong? Even senior brother has to activate his sword body to deal with him. Is this the strength of the 99994 genius on the prodigy ranking, the stellar sword Ji Qingming? The purple-ranked true disciples cried out in surprise. Countless outer palace and inner palace disciples were dazzled. This physique couldn't be compared to the pseudo-saint physique of the fake god families of the 9 prefectures, which only contained a trace of holy qi. If this stellar sword body was cultivated to the peak, it was entirely possible for it to become a special constitution of a saint body. This fellow is quite cautious. He brought out his true strength as soon as we met. Looks like he wants to crush me. Lin Shen narrowed his eyes, blood trickling from the corner of his mouth. It turned out that he had a special constitution. No wonder his charging rune couldn't beat him. The stellar sword body belonged to the metal category of the 5 elements. It was extremely strong. Its attack was sharp and hard to block, and its defense was amazing. When this kind of strong constitution was used together with a sword cultivator with strong attack power, it could be said that it was like adding wings to a tiger. After activating the stellar sword body, Ji Qingming's attack and defense had at least doubled. His sword skills had a shocking increase. If he hadn't activated the 3-inch Calamity and the Golden Prison Flying Dragon armor in time, he would have been seriously injured just now. I can't hide anymore. 7 transformations. Lin Shen activated the 7 transformations in one go. His cultivation level broke through, and he temporarily stepped into the mid-stage of the 9th transformations. He was only a small realm away from Ji Qingming. Ji Qingming stepped on the star sand and moved slightly. His figure was like starlight. He raised his sword high and slashed vertically. The destructive sword light slashed down on Lin Chen's head. The terrifying aura shook the arena. Lin Chen's eyes were like lightning. He raised his spear to block. With a clang, the arena under his feet shattered like tofu. He let out a muffled cry. Even with 5 million dragon power points and a 9 tribulation body, he still couldn't stop Ji Qingming. After activating the stellar sword body, Ji Qingming's speed increased sharply. It was several times harder for Lin Chen to attack from behind. Clang, clang, clang. The sword light and spear shadows were like a huge net that enveloped Lin Chen. However, they were blocked by the spear again and again. The sword light was extremely fast. One sword turned into 10. Lin Chen forcibly blocked it with his 10,000 cannons transformation. Then he stabbed his spear at Ji Qingming. He shook his body slightly. The star sand in his body shot out randomly. Rays of light surged as if 10,000 swords were shot out at the same time. Every ray of starlight pierced Lin Chen. It was as if a late-stage 9th Tribulation Sword Emperor had launched a surprise attack on Lin Chen. Many of the true disciples present felt their hair stand on end. Bang! The star sand shook. The spear was like a violent storm, bombarding Lin Chen crazily. It's not enough. This kind of strength is not enough to defeat him. Ultimate moment of limit. At this critical moment, Lin Chen activated both of his great talents. He activated the infinite silent steps. The dark vortex under his feet twisted as he shuttled through the void and avoided the numerous attacks. Bang, bang, bang. The arena cracked. Shocking cracks covered the entire arena. This was an arena that could withstand the full force attack of a late-stage 9th Tribulation Sword Emperor. However, it was now as fragile as a thin piece of paper. The purple phoenix wings spread out. Lin Chen's entire body was surrounded by a dark green brilliance. He activated the infinite silent steps. Holding the 5-color dragon spear in his hand, he swung and smashed at lightning speed. He transformed into 2 rays of light that collided with Ji Qingming. They were entangled in the sky. The activation of the ultimate moment finally allowed Lin Chen to stand firm. He wanted to turn the tables on his opponent. However, his opponent's aura was just as fierce and domineering. This battle could be said to be a match for him. It was an exciting battle. The two of them fought for over 1,000 rounds. However, their auras were not exhausted. They fought back and forth without stopping. In terms of movement techniques, Lin Chen's infinite silent steps was unparalleled in the 9 prefectures. It was ranked as a superior grade purple rank. On the other hand, Ji Qingming's illusionary 7 deadly shadows was a superior grade purple rank. Due to the stellar sword body and the enhancement of his cultivation, his speed was not inferior to the infinite silent steps at the ultimate moment. In terms of battle experience, the two of them had experienced many battles and had obtained many inheritances. They were experienced and ruthless. In terms of support techniques, one side had the sword eye and the other the purple golden eyes. They constantly analyzed the opponent's moves and countered them as they saw them. In an instant, the two of them had a different color. They fought to a draw and were opposing each other with equal harshness. The two of them are evenly matched. It's been many years since I've seen such an exciting battle between the younger generation. Many elders praise from the bottom of their hearts. Sword illuminates the 9 prefectures. A starry sword light that could split heaven and earth formed above Ji Qingming's head. It was 500 feet long, and it slashed out explosively. As the sword light slashed past, the biting cold air surrounding the sword edge caused the temperature of heaven and earth to plummet. Glorious nirvana. The tip of the spear met the sword light head-on and fell like a dazzling meteor. Pure strength erupted, activating the charge and penetration runes. With the enhancement of the ultimate moment, when the tip of the spear collided with the sword light, there was a loud explosion. Host activated the heavenly invisibility rune. 200,000 points of rune energy have been used to conceal the aura of the spiritual attack. Duration: 3 seconds. Cooldown: 40 seconds. Annihilation: as Lin Shan retreated rapidly, a sky-blue spiritual light pillar suddenly spun and twisted out. It traversed the void and released a spiritual annihilation energy that was filled with a destructive aura. Ji Qingming could not detect it at all. Bang! Boom! Without any warning, a spiritual explosion wreaked havoc on the entire place, causing countless elders to be stunned. Host has activated the passive talent, Assault. Received 300% power enhancement. Lin Shan was slightly delighted. The activation of Assault this time had increased the power of 2 major attack runes. This power was far beyond his imagination. However, when the spiritual storm dissipated, Ji Qingming stood proudly with 3 flags on his back. His murderous aura was like a tide, and a cold aura swept across the entire place. The flag was a 3-headed skull with a murderous aura, as if it came from hell. The flag danced wildly in the wind, separating the 3 layers of light screens and protecting Ji Qingming. "It's Qingming's ghost face flag," an elder exclaimed. This ghost face flag was claimed to have the miraculous effect of resisting body refinement, spirit, battle aura, and crisis prediction. It was a peak weapon that surpassed rank 7 and was second only to a first-grade sacred artifact. It's actually a sneak attack. Even my ghost face flag consumed a lot of energy. Ji Qingming's expression became gloomier. Lin Shan's strength was beyond his imagination. Meteorite, odd crystal. Boom! Ji Qingming's shoulders shook, and his entire body was covered in golden starlight. The golden vortex was as dazzling as the stars. An unparalleled aura of starlight emerged from his body, and even the elder's expressions changed. Chapter 799. He has an odd crystal on him? No, it's just an odd crystal fragment. With the activation of the Golden Eyes twin, Lin Shan saw through him. It was about 1/12 of an odd crystal fragment. A complete odd crystal was extremely powerful, and a mere 9th-level combat emperor wasn't qualified to refine it. But even so, this odd crystal fragment was enough to raise Ji Qingming's strength by several levels. He even made Qingming use the odd crystal fragment. This little guy isn't simple. Ji Qingming's master, Elder Gu, narrowed his eyes and stared at Lin Shan. With a swoosh, the air was torn apart. Ji Qingming used his finger as a sword, and a ray of light shot out, turning into a whistling aurora. Lin Shan's pure strength exploded as he swung his splitting moon spear. The spear light exploded and the ray of light shattered, causing Lin Shan to retreat continuously. When he stood still, the ground beneath his feet crumbled. Even his arms were slightly numb. With the star sword body and the meteorite odd crystal fragment, Ji Qingming's strength soared to an extremely terrifying realm. This was the true strength of the genius list. If he only relied on the star sword body, he wouldn't be qualified to be on the list. Die. A mere ant forced me to use the power of the odd crystal. It's enough for you to die with pride. Ji Qingming sneered and suddenly slashed vertically with his sword. Nirvana, great sword wheel. The sword roared like a dragon as the tip of the sword slashed down. It was like a falling Milky Way, outlining a rapidly rotating sword light chi wheel. As it rotated rapidly, it was magnificent. When the brilliant starlight overflowed and illuminated the entire sky island, it contained a top-secret killing intent. Frost rose in the entire arena as the starlight overflowed with cold battle chi. In the arena of the frozen arena, all the purple true disciples were shocked. This was Ji Qingming's ultimate skill, a top-grade purple sword technique, Nirvana Great Sword Wheel. But they had never seen such a terrifying sword wheel before, because they had never seen Ji Qingming use the meteorite odd crystal fragment. Combined with the star sword body, the power of this move had soared to an extremely terrifying level. Even second or third Calamity Combat Emperors would be shocked. Damn, Do you think you're the only one with a trump card? Ultimate moment, Phantom Doppelganger, attack. Lin Shun released 4 doppelgangers in one breath. They were all at the middle stage of the 9th stage, and the doppelgangers used all of Lin Chen's killing moves. Moon of Speed, 7-star flashes. Annihilation, life-chasing arrow. Glorious Nirvana. Boom. Bang. Lin Chen joined forces with his 4 avatars and attacked with all their might. All of them activated the runes of penetration and charge. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, they blasted the great Nirvana sword wheel apart. Rip. This was Lin Chen's new archery skill, Seize Life. This was a top-tier purple rank battle skill. Once it was used, it stood out from all of Lin Chen's battle skills and broke through Ji Qingming's attacks. It was still powerful and sharp. As expected of a top-tier purple rank battle skill, Lin Chen's eyes lit up. The dark golden arrow emitted a deep murderous aura and pierced through thousands of soldiers. It went straight for Ji Qingming. His expression changed slightly, and he instantly raised his sword to block. He condensed the power of the stellar sword body and the odd crystal fragment into his sword. The sword was flowing with a dazzling golden light, like a flowing golden sword, blocking in front of him. Clang! Bang! The arrow exploded, and starlight shot out from his sword. Golden sand rolled up the illusory nebula and drifted in the air. Ji Qingming was forced back 100 steps. It was a shocking sight. The 25% penetration forced him to activate the ghost face flag again to block the remaining power. He was shocked. All of the Ice Heart Palace disciples present were dumbfounded. He actually broke senior brother Ji Qingming's killing move? Who is this guy? Did he also have the strength to be on the genius list? How is this possible? This was the peak of the billions of geniuses in the sacred boundary. From a certain point of view, even if the current Lin Shun could not compare, he was not far from the legendary genius ranking. The problem was, how old was he? Rip. Bang. 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 A terrifying, chaotic battle began to overturn the entire arena. Lin Shun and his 4 clones besieged Ji Qingming crazily. With the power of the stellar sword body and the odd crystal fragment, Lin Shen's main body and his 4 clones attacked with all their might, but Ji Qingming was only able to resist. Many figures used the infinite silent steps and were extremely fast. They were like 5 shadows following Ji Qingming closely. Okay, stop. Rip. A remnant light crushed into the center of the battle. The old man in the green robe flicked his sleeves and stopped the battle. The old man in the green robe was Ji Qingming's master, Elder Gu. He was a 5th Calamity Combat Emperor and was extremely strong. It's a spar, don't go too far. But master, Ji Qingming wanted to say something. No buts. Tomorrow is the day of the Blue Moon trial. Do you want to miss the opportunity that the palace fought for you after you get injured? Elder Gu berated Ji Qingming, leaving him speechless. Indeed, he had to pay a certain price to defeat Lin Shun. Most of the elders were happy to accept this result. Elder Gu's words were reasonable. Both of them were good talents, and it wouldn't be good if they were lost. That's right. Lin Chen's victory will be decided by annihilation, life-seizing, 7 ultimate forces, 3 forces in 1. Boom! An azure spiritual light beam and a sharp and unstoppable arrow shot through the sky. A remnant shadow appeared and the fist wind, 3 forces in 1 violently struck. Rip! Most of the disciples took a deep breath. What was going on? Lin Shen actually dared to attack an elder? Oomph! You overestimate yourself. With a cold snort, Elder Gu fiercely flicked his sleeve. His chi could swallow mountains and rivers, and his battle chi swept out in all directions, scattering all of Lin Chen's attacks. Kid, don't be so shameless. Elder Gu grinned sinisterly. Lin Shun directly greeted him with a middle finger, showing his good manners. F***CKU, shameless bastard. Old bastard, do you have any self-awareness? Lin Shun scolded him harshly, causing everyone to be stunned. When he was suppressing me, you pretended to be mute and blind. Now that he's at a disadvantage, you jump out and tell him to stop? Bah, stop your grandpa. You're already so old. Do you still have any shame? In front of everyone in Iceheart Palace, Lin Chen actually scolded him. Elder Gu's face flushed red. The disciples thought about it and realized that this was indeed the case. Previously, when Ji Qingming had gained the upper hand, Elder Gu did not say anything. Now that Lin Chen had gained a slight advantage, Elder Gu said, "Don't go overboard." He even righteously said that he couldn't delay the Blue Moon trial tomorrow and almost fooled everyone. It seems that you think you can do whatever you want just because you have a little bit of skill. Elder Gu was so angry that he laughed. Just as he was about to attack, a 9-colored star appeared in front of him without any warning, causing his pupils to tremble. Chi! Boom! The space trembled and the world bowed. A terrifying, destructive energy instantly filled the entire arena. The 9-colored pillar of light that stood between heaven and earth slowly bloomed and engulfed Elder Gu. Is this the attack of that little guy Lin Chen? Too crazy. This guy just attacked without any warning. Hurry up and reinforce the space barrier. Don't let the disciples get involved. This attack appeared without any warning. This kid has a great ability. Chapter 800. The sudden appearance of the 9 Tribulations star shocked the elders. They quickly reinforced the spatial barrier and stabilized the destructive power of the 9-colored light beam. After a while, the 9-colored light pillar dissipated. Ji Qingming, who was in the middle of the field, revealed a hint of wariness and killing intent. As for Elder Gu, who had received the 9 Tribulations star head-on, although he was unharmed, his aged palm was charred, and blood was dripping down. The purple-ranked true disciples who were watching the battle felt their scalps go numb. Elder Gu was a 5th Tribulation combat emperor. One of the strongest warriors below the Saint Realm was injured by him. Although Lin Chen relied on the advantage of a sneak attack, he still managed to injure the 5th Tribulation combat emperor. The sneer on his face became more intense. Good? Lin Chen, what a good guy. Elder Gu's face flushed red. He was so angry that his killing intent soared to the sky. Being injured by a combat emperor who was not even at the late stage of the 9 Tribulation combat emperor, he had lost half of his face. Under normal circumstances, Lin Chen wouldn't be able to hurt him even if he only used a defensive combat skill. However, his attack had no attack trajectory, making it impossible to guard against. He had already missed the best opportunity to defend himself, not to mention that he had to protect Ji Qingming in the blink of an eye. He despised this kind of people who couldn't afford to lose. His disciple pretended to be blind when he had the advantage, but when he was at a disadvantage, he jumped out and stopped the battle in the name of righteousness. Couldn't afford to lose? What did he take Lin Chen for? If he wanted to fight, he would fight until the end. Why would he be a coward? At most, he could escape with a super-dimensional teleportation. Lin Chen didn't give in. His attitude was very firm. You can't defeat me, but you can't run away. If you're not convinced, you can come at me together. Isn't it just a fight between the old and the young? I've done this kind of thing many times. Lin Chen sneered. He connected his mind to the Azure Dragon, who was still in a deep slumber. He had already decided to summon the Azure Dragon to help him in the battle. The new generation excels the old. Elder Gu smiled insincerely. Each generation is more handsome than the previous. Everyone knows that I'm handsome. Don't say it out loud. I'm very low-key. Lin Chen smiled slyly. The corners of Elder Gu's mouth twitched violently. He was so angry that his lips were trembling. That's enough, Gu Lin. Why do you have to be angry with a junior? At this time, a deep voice came from the void. It contained endless majesty, and everyone was shocked. Greetings, Grand Elder. Welcome back, Grand Elder. Many elders and true disciples hurriedly saluted. Lin Chen narrowed his eyes. The Iceheart Palace's saint has spoken. I'm sure that Brat Qingming is unwilling to stop this battle midway. In that case, let's save this battle until the trial of Blue Moon. What do you think, Brat Lin Chen? The hearts of all the elders trembled. This Grand Elder was actually asking for Lin Chen's opinion. A saint was asking for the opinion of a mortal. In everyone's knowledge, saints were always high and mighty existences. Any genius who did not become a saint would always be an ordinary person. The saint realm and all other living beings were on two completely different levels of life. It was equivalent to a lion asking for the opinion of an ant. The two were not on the same level at all. How could they be placed on the same level? Why did the Grand Elder only ask for Lin Chen's opinion and not Ji Qingming's? The difference between the two was obvious. Since this senior has spoken, I, Lin Chen, will naturally not fail to appreciate your kindness. Lin Chen cupped his hands. Facing a saint, he was neither servile nor overbearing. His bearing was so easy that it made one's hair stand on end. If the people of Ice Heart Palace knew that Lin Chen had killed 6 criminals from Holy Prison, how interesting would their expressions be? He had personally experienced a life and death struggle of a Saint Realm cultivator. Talking to a Saint Realm cultivator was a piece of cake for him. Then this old master will thank Lin Chen on behalf of Ice Heart Palace. If there's a chance, please consider joining Ice Heart Palace. We welcome you very much. The Grand Elder's reply in the void made countless people suck in a breath of cold air. Ji Qingming's body trembled, his eyes filled with disbelief. What was the reason that even the high-level saint of Ice Heart Palace valued him so much? She even thanked and welcomed him. Ha ha ha. Elder, you must be joking. Yu Qi is one of my people. If she has a good life in Ice Heart Palace, and you treat her sincerely, even if I'm not a member of Ice Heart Palace, I will still stand on your side, right? Lin Chen smiled meaningfully, the meaning behind his words causing the several elders' scalps to go numb. Damn, this little brat is still talking about conditions with the Grand Elder. You cunning brat. Rest assured, Ice Heart Palace has nurtured her with all its might and will not treat her unfairly. This old master looks forward to your performance in Blue Moon Trial. Saying so, the voice gradually faded away. After the numerous disciples and elders respectfully sent off the Grand Elder, they regained their senses and looked at Lin Chen with eyes full of complex emotions, envy, jealousy, and admiration. Even someone as strong as Ji Qingming, who was on the genius list, was not qualified to talk to the Grand Elder in such a tone. Combined with Lin Chen's previous battle strength and his daring courage, this person must have qualities that even the Grand Elder admired. There was no doubt about the vision of a saint. Elder Gu cast a glance at Ji Qingming, and the master and disciples' minds converged, seemingly coming to a decision. Finally, the venue dispersed. Today's battle left behind endless reveries and suspense. Compared to that battle, what made countless disciples more curious was the Grand Elder's attitude. Some disciples who had met a saint for the first time were even more excited. The wisdom of a saint is extraordinary. It seems that they have seen something related to the battle with the fake divinity from me. I must seize the time to become stronger. Only strength could make others revere him. No matter how great your potential was, without strength, you were not qualified to stand on the same level as others. There was only silence in the secret chamber. Lin Chen leaned against the wall and opened the system. Heavenly Path Possession System version 6.0. Host. Lin Chen Cultivation. 8th level Battle Emperor Realm. Mid-level Battle Chi Essence. 35. 9 billion points. Limit. 9 million Dragon Power, Talent Enhancement. 5 million, Mid-level Chi and Blood. 26. 6 billion points. Mid-level Mental Energy. 3. 46 million points, Ascension Realm to Shang. Mid-level Ability Essence. 3 billion points. Mid-level Rune Energy. 2. 1 billion points. Heavenly Path Points. 1. 2 billion points. Talent Points. 2 billion points. Blank Attribute, 250,000 points. Strengthening Points, 15,589 points. Mid-level Elemental Energy, 12. 0.5 million points for Fire, 8. 1 million points for Earth, 7. 53 million points for Wood, 8. 0.2 million points for Metal, 53. 5 million points for Water, 7. 9 million points for lightning, 8. 09 million points for wind, 5. 2 million points for light, 5. 8 million points for dark. Ability status column, open. Bloodline status column, open. Passive talent column, open. Sure kill skill column, open. Active talent. Blue rank, stealing omen. Blue rank, fatal bloodlust. Purple rank, superdimensional teleportation. Purple rank, final moment. Purple rank, ultimate return. Purple rank, sovereign's descent. Quasi-orange rank, absolute life and death. Orange rank. Fragment of instant light, 1/2. Characteristic rune column, open. Talent combination skill. Fatal bloodlust. Superdimensional teleportation. Sovereign's descent. Absolute life and death. During the treasure appraisal convention, Lin Shun had obtained a large number of attribute light balls, which made up for a portion of the ability essence that the sisters had consumed. It said that Ji Qingming is ranked 99994 on the genius ranking. He's almost at the bottom, but to me, he's still very strong. Lin Shun thought. Today's battle had broadened his horizons. Chapter 801. Ghost Face Flag, Sword Eye, Stellar Sword Body, Stellar Odd Crystal Fragment. All of them are extremely rare. Any prodigy would be able to soar to the sky with these treasures. A guy with so many top-notch treasures is actually at the bottom of the genius list. This shows how valuable this list is. If the bottom of the genius list was already so strong, then how terrifying would the geniuses in the top 80,000, 70,000, 50,000, 30,000, and even the top 10,000 be? Lin Shun felt the vastness of the sacred boundary. Apart from the 9 Calamity Star that didn't explode on Ji Qingming, Lin Shun had used all his trump cards apart from the absolute life and death and the slowing rune. Facing the Ice Prince, who was a top-notch blue true disciple, he could suppress him with pure strength. As for a purple true disciple, he could probably easily win with the 7 transformations, the charging rune, or the ultimate moment. But Ji Qingming on the genius list was completely different. His strength required Lin Shun to use all 4 runes, the ultimate moment, and the 7 transformations. He had to use 4 clones to barely force him into a bitter battle. From today's situation, Ji Qingming might still have some secret methods. Although Lin Shun also had a few trump cards reserved, even if he could win in the end, Lin Shun believed that it would either be a Pyrrhic victory or he would have to pay a heavy price to use the slowing rune. Of course, if Lin Shun used Sovereign's Descent in a group battle, it would be easier for him to kill Ji Qingming. But Sovereign's Descent was a trump card, and there were conditions to use it. He needed to kill a certain number of enemies and couldn't use it all the time. My strength is far from enough. Just the bottom of the genius list, ranked 99,000, requires me, Lin Shun, to use 80% of my trump cards to deal with him. If I encounter 2 of them at the same time, or if they are ranked slightly higher, I will have to risk my life. This can't go on. Lin Shun's eyes were solemn. He was far from enough. He still had to become stronger in all aspects. The genius list was indeed very strong, but Lin Shun firmly believed that with the advantages brought by the new version of the system, his growth speed would far surpass that of 9 states. Lin Shun opened the Enhance function. System, I want to strengthen the 9 tribulations of Genesis Mantra. That's right, strengthen the mental cultivation method. Previously, Lin Shun had always focused on strengthening his combat skills and weapons. He subconsciously believed that the mental cultivation method was already the foundation for his growth. Other than increasing his elemental attributes, the mental cultivation method of the 9 tribulations of creation would almost never improve. But after today's battle, Lin Shun realized the disparity between himself and the people on the genius rankings. He had a strange idea, and when he asked the system about it, the system's answer was yes, he could. Lin Shun had already tasted the sweetness of the enhanced function. Now, it was time to take the most crucial step. Consumed 180 strengthening points, 9 tribulations mental cultivation method +1, power increase, 10%. Consumed 379 enhancement points, 9 Tribulations Mental Cultivation Method plus 2, Power Increase, 10%. Consumed 580 Strengthening Points. Consumed 1,329 Strengthening Points. 9 Tribulations Mental Cultivation Method plus 8 Success, Power Increase, 10%. Consumed 1,849 Strengthening Points. 9 Tribulations Mental Cultivation Method plus 9 Successful. Power Increase, 15%. Consumed 2,455 Strengthening Points. Failed to strengthen the 9 Tribulations Mental Cultivation Method. Consumed 2,455 Strengthening Points. 9 Tribulations Mental Cultivation Method plus 10 Success. Power Increase, 15%. The more Lin Shun strengthened the mental cultivation method, the more he felt that the 9-colored life wheel in his heart was gathering more and more powerful origin energy. The 9-colored life wheel had doubled in size. The 9 Tribulations combat body had been strengthened by the mental cultivation method. It had soared to a whole new level. The origin energy of the 9 Tribulations had also doubled in size. The storage of the 9 Tribulations combat aura had more than doubled. After 2 failed strengthening attempts, Lin Shun had used up all his strengthening points when the mental cultivation method was upgraded to plus 10. 9 Tribulations of Genesis Mental Cultivation Method, Strengthening Level, plus 10. Strengthening Effect, 110%. What an insane strengthening function. Oh my God, the strength of my 9 Tribulations combat body has more than doubled. Lin Chen's heart trembled. Such a horrifying upgrade gave him goosebumps all over his body. This was insane. This was insane. Power increased by 110%. What did this mean? It meant that the effect of the 9 Tribulations of Genesis Mental Cultivation Method had more than doubled. This meant that Lin Shun didn't need to activate the ultimate moment talent to maintain the effect of doubling the power of the mental cultivation method forever. What was more frightening was that his storage of combat aura had also increased by 110%. Lin Shun had made a qualitative leap in strengthening the mental cultivation method. If he activated the ultimate moment talent again, Lin Shun couldn't imagine how powerful he would be. Although I've used up all my strengthening points, I still have blank attributes. The effect of blank attributes was that they could be converted into other attributes. I still have 250,000 blank attributes, which is equivalent to 250,000 strengthening points. System, convert 100,000 strengthening points first. 100,000 blank attributes have been converted into strengthening points. Please check. Lin Shun began to strengthen the 9 Tribulations of Genesis again. 3,890 strengthening points consumed. Mental cultivation method, strengthening failed. 3,890 strengthening points consumed. Mental cultivation method, strengthening failed. Lin Shun was just feeling smug when the result of the strengthening gave him 2 slaps in the face. He had failed twice in a row. Damn, I can't be so unlucky, right? Lin Shun felt a little weak and tapped on the strengthening mental cultivation method again. 3,890 strengthening points consumed. Mental cultivation method, strengthening failed. F***CK. It's so bad? Lin Shun was so angry that he started to curse. Again, 3,890 strengthening points consumed. Mental cultivation method, strengthening failed. System, I'm warning you, don't go too far. 3,890 strengthening points consumed. Mental cultivation method, strengthening failed. Lin Shun, system, F***CKU, 3,890 strengthening points consumed. Mental cultivation method, strengthening failed. Lin Shun, father, 3,890 strengthening points consumed. Mental cultivation method of 9 Tribulations of Genesis plus 11 succeeded. Power increase, 30%. Lin Shun, mother ***. Lin Shun had experienced 6 consecutive failures in strengthening the mental cultivation method. Only then did he realize that the strengthening effect wasn't what he wanted. The stronger the strengthening, the higher the success rate and the higher the consumption. Lin Shun, who originally thought that he still had 150,000 blank attributes, suddenly lost his confidence. Plus 11 mental cultivation method of 9 tribulations of Genesis, overall strengthening effect, 140%. But Lin Shun still wanted to continue. As expected, Lin Shun continued to strengthen. What happened next made him doubt his life. 6,950 strengthening points consumed. Mental cultivation method strengthening failed. 6,950 strengthening points consumed. Mental cultivation method strengthening failed. Consumption. Lin Chen's mouth twitched violently. Every time he tapped on the strengthening function, his hands trembled. In the days that he had been in the sacred boundary, he had picked up a lot of attribute light balls. In one round, he had only picked up a little more than 10,000 points. It was all because of his previous cleverness that he had accumulated a bunch of blank attributes. This time, he had spent 7,000 strengthening points. His heart was bleeding. In the end, Lin Shan experienced 10 consecutive failures and converted another 100,000 blank attributes into strengthening points. Only after the 11th strengthening did he manage to strengthen the 9 tribulations of Genesis to plus 12. Plus 12 mental cultivation method of 9 tribulations of Genesis. Overall power increase by 170%. This increase was equivalent to 1.7 times the final stage. Moreover, the 9 tribulations origin had also increased by 1.7 times. Although the strengthening function is deceptive, the increase is indeed powerful. In the future, when I absorb elemental attribute points to strengthen my 9 tribulations battle body, I will also be strengthened by the mental cultivation method. Chapter 802. Although the strengthening function is a joke, the increase in strength is really strong. In the future, when I absorb the elemental attributes to strengthen my 9 tribulations body, I will also be strengthened by the strengthening of my mental cultivation technique. Lin Chen sighed. With his mental cultivation technique, plus 12, he was on a completely different level from his previous self. However, this was the only time that he would experience such a monstrous increase in strength. His mental cultivation technique had already reached plus 12, and if he went any higher, it would reach plus 13. However, strengthening a mental cultivation technique to plus 13 required more than 10,000 enhancement points, and the success rate was extremely low. Lin Shun was only left with 50,000 blank attributes and 40,000 enhancement points. He did not dare to waste them on this. If the final enhancement points and blank attributes were all used up, it would still be plus 12. If that happened, he would be so angry that he would shit his pants. Lin Shen had other uses for the remaining strengthening points. He clicked on 7 Ultimate Force, Annihilation, and Life Seizing, and pressed on the strengthening function. Consumed 45 enhancement points. Strengthening 7 Ultimate Force plus 1 succeeded. Power increased by 10%. Consumed 73 enhancement points. Consumed 1,890 enhancement points. Strengthening 7 Ultimate Force plus 10 succeeded. Power increased by 15%. Consumed 47 enhancement points. Strengthening Soul Seizing plus 1 succeeded. Power increased by 10%. Consumed 76 enhancement points. Consumed 1,980 enhancement points. Strengthening Soul Seizing plus 10 succeeded. Power increased by 15%. Consumed 49 enhancement points. Strengthening Annihilation plus 1 succeeded. Power increased by 10%. Consumed 77 enhancement points. Consumed 2,028 enhancement points. Strengthening Annihilation plus 10 succeeded. Power increased by 10%. These 3 techniques were Lin Chen's trump cards. Their killing power was second only to the 9 tribulation stars. They had all been strengthened to plus 10, and their power increased by 110%. Among them, soul seizing was an extremely powerful archery skill that could kill both single and group targets. It was extremely useful in long-range battles. This series of enhancements left Lin Chun with only 30,000 blank attributes. This was not because Lin Chun had nothing to enhance. Instead, it was because there were too many things to enhance, and he had not decided on which aspect to enhance. 7-star Sword Manual, Meridian Sword, Mirror Moon, Dazzling Dragon Saber, 100 Spears Fighting Emperor, 5 Dragons Imperial Spears, Infinite Dark Steps, and so on. These were the foundations of Lin Chen's strength. As long as he strengthened them, his strength would definitely increase. However, the strengthening points attribute was not easy to come by, and he planned to use the remaining blank attributes in case of an emergency. This round of strengthening caused Lin Chen's strength to soar like a rocket, causing his heart to be filled with pride. Motherf asterisk Kerr, if I were to fight with that G guy again, if I don't F asterisk King smash his head, I'll follow his ancestor's surname. What kind of concept was a 170% increase in his mental cultivation method? To put it more directly, it was equivalent to all of Lin Chen's current elemental attribute values being multiplied by 2. 7. What was more frightening was that the enhancement effect of the mental cultivation method was applicable to runes. In other words, Lin Chen's Phantom Rune and his 4 clones all received this terrifying enhancement. 5F asterisk King Lin Chen together could not even beat 1G Qingming. He could commit suicide by swallowing feces on the spot. Genius ranking? My ass. In addition, the 9 Tribulations Origin had also received the enhancement effect of the mental cultivation method and recovered faster. Previously, Lin Chen needed to rest for about 4 days after using the 9 Tribulation Star. Now, he only needed 1 day. The extremely bloated Lin Chen opened his storage ring and absorbed a gold Saint Origin coin. The clear jade tree had successfully sprouted and grown to a height of 7 meters. Its branches and leaves were tender and green. It was full of vitality and looked brand new. It should have passed the seedling stage and is now in the growth stage. Once it passes the growth stage and enters the mature stage, it will produce a large amount of resources. Without hesitation, Lin Chen piled up 4,000 silver Saint Origin coins and 2 gold Saint Origin coins beside the clear jade tree, allowing it to absorb them. Spirit plants with luck were roughly divided into 4 stages: germination stage, seedling stage, growth stage, and peak stage. Now, Lin Chen did not feel any heartache when feeding the clear jade tree. If one asked why, it was because he had done some calculations. Iceheart Palace was a 3rd-grade sect and controlled many cultivation secret realms. According to the information revealed by Su Lan and her sister, Iceheart Palace was one of the few sects that could be promoted to a 4th-grade sect. This was because they had 2 low-grade spirit plants of luck. In other words, 2 peak low-grade spirit plants of luck could produce enough resources to support a top 3rd-grade sect like Iceheart Palace. Iceheart Palace had 100 purple-grade true disciples, more than 1,000 blue-grade true disciples, and more than 3,000 cyan-grade true disciples. Their monthly allowance was roughly 580,000 silver Saint Origin coins. This was just a month's allowance. Moreover, this was only in the category of true disciples. If one were to consider the countless inner and outer hall disciples, it would be hundreds of thousands to millions of silver Saint Origin coins. In addition, if one were to consider the benefits of the elders, Lin Chen estimated that Iceheart Palace would consume more than 2 million silver Saint Origin coins in just 1 month. That was 24 million silver Saint Origin coins in 1 year. This was roughly the output of 2 low-grade spirit plants of luck. Of course, Iceheart Palace had other sources of income, but the spirit plants of luck were still the most important. If that's the case, I'll take a conservative estimate of 800,000 silver Saint Origin coins per month. If the clear jade tree matures, it can produce 800,000 silver Saint Origin coins per month. If converted to gold Saint Origin coins, that's 80 gold Saint Origin coins. Damn, this is a moving mountain of gold. It was because of his previous calculation that Lin Chun did not hesitate to throw in the few gold Saint Origin coins he had. Time was money. The sooner the clear jade tree matured, the sooner he could lay down and take the money. Everyone knew how to choose. Lin Chun opened the system again. This time, he wanted to upgrade the runes. If I upgrade the charging rune, my attack power might be much stronger, but at the same time, I lack the means to face a saint, so the charging rune can't be upgraded to this level. After hesitating for a while, Lin Chun issued an order. System, I choose to upgrade the slowing rune. Consumed 60 rune evolution stones to upgrade the level 5 slowing rune to level 6. The level 6 slowing rune will double the original slowing effect and reduce rune energy consumption. The level 6 slowing rune will be twice as effective as the level 5 slowing rune with the same rune energy. The system screen popped up. This was the first restriction released by the new version. The runes could be upgraded to the corresponding version's level. Lin Chun did not have enough rune evolution stones before. After the treasure appraisal convention and the various attribute treasure chests he picked up at rank 9, he managed to gather enough rune evolution stones. If Lin Chun expended a large amount of rune energy to unleash a level 6 delaying rune, he might be able to affect a Saint Stage expert. After losing his orange tier talent, other than a blue tier sure kill skill, this was the only thing he could use to fight a Saint Stage expert. Everything is ready. Next, I'll cultivate with all my might. Lin Chun took out 1,000 silver Saint Origin coins and absorbed them directly. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The silver Saint Origin coins turned into silver airflow and entered Lin Chun's body. The power of creation in the Saint Origin coins merged with the 9-color fate wheel and nourished it at a high speed. Host has received 45 million battle aura essences, 89 million battle aura essences, 65 million battle aura essences. The moment the silver Saint Origin coins were absorbed, the system screen popped up quickly. Lin Chun was stunned. Chapter 803. The moment he absorbed the silver Saint Origin coins, tens of millions of mid-level battle chi essences grew at a crazy speed. The system screen popped up frequently, and Lin Chun was dumbfounded. F***CK. What kind of goddamn cultivation speed is this? He was shocked. The speed of absorbing the silver Saint Origin coins was comparable to the efficiency of absorbing attribute light balls after a great battle. The silver Saint Origin coins piled up around Lin Chun quickly disappeared. If others saw this, their jaws would have dropped. Thousands of silver Saint Origin coins were being refined into Lin Chun's body at a speed visible to the naked eye. After one night, Lin Chun had perfectly absorbed more than 1,000 silver Saint Origin coins. This efficiency was higher than most battle emperors, and it was related to the 9th tribulation body created by his high elemental attribute value. This was because the energy required was too much. Oh my god, I absorbed more than 1,000 silver Saint Origin coins this time, and I gained more than 10 billion mid-level battle chi essences. If I do this 4 or 5 more times, I'm afraid I'll break through to the mid-8th tier. Lin Chun swallowed his saliva and gasped in amazement. This effect was comparable to the best cultivation elixirs. It was incredible. No wonder so many people were attracted to the silver Saint Origin coins like moths to a flame. They were simply omnipotent treasures. They could be used for cultivation, refining elixirs, forging, and anything else. What was this called? This was what they meant by money being omnipotent. It was really omnipotent. It could do anything. No wonder there was such a big difference between the development of martial arts in JoJo and the Sacred Boundary. Silver Saint Origin coins were one of the most important factors. If I absorb 2 gold Saint Origin coins, I'm afraid I can directly break through to the mid-8th tier. Unfortunately, I can't use the gold Saint Origin coins on hand. I have to ensure that the clear jade tree has enough energy to absorb. Money! Money! I'm really poor now. What can I do to make money quickly? Lin Chun was distressed. He increasingly felt how difficult it was to live in the sacred boundary without the support of a big force or sect. If he didn't have the treasure appraising technique, he would have to save up more than 5,000 silver Saint Origin coins for several years. However, he didn't want to join any sect. The sects of the sacred boundary weren't like the Heavenly Song Academy in the 9 regions, which had an open education system. Once you entered a sect at the sacred boundary, it proved that you had to offer enough value to the sect to serve the sect or aristocratic family. Otherwise, why would the sect invest important resources to cultivate you when everyone lacked cultivation resources? That's right. How could I forget about my old profession? Lin Shin suddenly clapped his hands and revealed a mischievous smile. He was the man who wanted to become the king of robbers. Early in the morning, the vast cold palace was bustling with activity as everyone gathered. More than half of Ice Heart Palace's true disciples had gathered, and Lin Shun had also met up with Su Lan and Su Lan early on. They were on their way to Moon Palace. What? Yuchi has already set off? Hearing Su Lan's words, Lin Shun couldn't help being surprised. Yes, because there isn't only one entrance to the Blue Moon Trial. It is said that the Blue Moon Trial is extremely dangerous. If one is unlucky and descends into an extremely dangerous area, even a 9th layer combat emperor would melt in an instant. Teacher Lung Yuchi, as a person who was specially nurtured by the palace master, was naturally chosen to enter through a safer entrance. Su Lan nodded. Lin Chin muttered, "Fine, then let's meet in the Blue Moon Trial. We will meet sooner or later anyway." The 3 of them walked towards a gathering place. Inside the Ice Heart Palace, vast cold palace, 500 blue-ranked true disciples were gathered in the Jade Stone Square. The weakest among them was a 6th layer combat emperor, and only Su Lan and Su Lan were 5th layer combat emperors. There were dozens of purple-ranked true disciples who were leading the group. Each of them was wearing a snow-white robe, holding a sword, a saber, a hammer, and a sickle. They had a dignified appearance and were heroes among men. Female true disciples were even more captivating. They were heroic and awe-inspiring. Their auras were noble and extraordinary. Some of them were top geniuses who came from the outside world and were chosen by some blue-ranked true disciples to be their companions. However, they weren't at the level of the genius list. Every Blue Moon Trial loses true disciples. Sigh, I really don't know how many of them will be able to return this time. Those senior brothers and senior sisters of the past, which one of them wasn't a heavenly genius? I didn't expect that I would be the only one to return. Sigh, the world is unpredictable. Only those who have experienced fighting and settling down have the qualifications to become experts. Didn't we go through this in the past? In the void, there were a few figures standing proudly on top of the heavenly Frost Mountain range. Clang! A sword light descended from the sky. Ji Qingming arrived and stood in front of the group. Sword Qi was emitted from his body. His eyebrows were piercingly cold, and his aura was vigorous. His pair of eagle eyes were sharp, and with a sword in hand, he was invincible. At this moment, Lin Shun entered with a relaxed expression, as if he was taking a stroll in a courtyard. Beside him were 2 beautiful women, one on his left and one on his right. His hands were empty, and he was dressed in a silver robe. His face was like jade, and there was a cynical smile on his face. His pair of deep eyes had a different kind of evil charm, causing the hearts of many female true disciples to beat wildly. Their beautiful eyes were full of splendor. Compared to Ji Qingming's fierceness, Lin Chen's body had a unique and mysterious, overbearing temperament. The more one looked at him, the more fascinating it was. When Ji Qingming stared at Lin Chen again, the killing intent in his eyes was even more intense. He had followed his master's teachings. In this Blue Moon Trial, one's life and death were up to the heavens. If there was a chance, he would kill Lin Shan with all his strength. Moreover, Elder Gu had secretly contacted some other peerless true disciples. When the time came, they would join forces to kill this brat. This brat would definitely die. When everyone's gazes were focused on Lin Chen's group, an unquestionable old man's voice faintly sounded from the void. In this blue moon trial, one's life and death are up to the heavens. Everyone remember, coming back alive is the most important. All the true disciples bowed and cupped their fists, respectfully shouting, "Disciple understands." The competition in the Blue Moon trial was extremely fierce. A large number of second and third rank sects would enter, and the opponents would be extremely strong. Even though Ice Heart Palace was a top third rank sect, they couldn't lower their guard. The risk was extremely high. Open the secret territory. His voice was like a bell, shaking the void. As soon as he finished speaking, hundreds of space tunnels extended out. The teleportation location will be random. Each space tunnel can only hold 10 people. Remember, when the time limit is up, you will automatically return. As soon as the voice in the void finished speaking, a group of purple-grayed true disciples stepped forward and stepped into the space tunnels, disappearing without a trace. They were confident in their strength and foundation, or perhaps they had already made up their minds, so they didn't hesitate at all. Next, the blue-gray true disciples also began to enter. Before Ji Qing Ming entered, he strangely turned his head and sent a secret message to Lin Chun. "Lin Chun, if you dare to enter, you will die without a doubt. I, Ji Qing Ming, am not the only genius on the genius ranking inside. If I join forces with others, you won't even have a chance to escape. Ha!" Ji Qing Ming's laughter was filled with arrogance and savagery as he rushed into the space tunnel. Lin Chun shook his head and laughed. If you're to fight now, it wasn't certain who would beat who. With the wisdom of Ice Heart Palace's saints, it's impossible for them not to predict this situation. They are testing me, Lin Chun. They are betting on whether I will enter or not. They want to test my temperament, my potential, strength, and luck. A bright light flashed in Lin Chun's eyes. How could he not have predicted this step? If he didn't become a chess piece of the saint's plan, he could only break through it and advance. Unfortunately, he was no longer the same as before. Chapter 804. In addition to the abnormal improvement brought about by the strengthening ability, Lin Chun still had a super strong trump card, and that was his Dragon Emperor. After swallowing the false god's body, the Dragon Emperor had been using the myriad devouring divine ability to refine the two false gods' bodies. Now it had undergone earth-shattering changes far surpassing before. "Let's go, we'll go together." Lin Chun smiled and pulled the two girls beside him into the spatial channel, and everyone disappeared. In a certain part of the starry sky, several mind storms floated, like mountains, rivers, sun, and moon, exuding a majestic and powerful will that seemed to be able to suppress the world. Why didn't you directly suppress this child? Amongst them, a ball of spiritual storm rumbled as it was released, and it instantly threw the wind and clouds into disorder and shook the entire starry sky to the point it trembled. According to the Elder's report, this child is very likely to have a big secret. In addition, he revealed a lot of strange methods in his battle with Ji Qing Ming. We should capture him and interrogate him. Another mind storm spoke, seemingly wanting to capture Lin Chun and interrogate him. At this time, the mind storm with the strongest energy suddenly spoke. "You're really a bunch of old fools. The longer you live, the more backward you become. Do you remember what the old ancestor and that girl said to us? This child's talent is peerless, and he would rather break than bend. If we offend him, our Ice Heart Palace is very likely to meet with a disaster." These words caused the other mind storms to be puzzled. Isn't Sacred Elder's worry groundless? No matter how strong this child's potential is, he can be crushed with a finger. Moreover, even if he becomes a saint in the future, what kind of disaster will he pose to our Ice Heart Palace? One of the mind storms said with disdain. The mind storm with the strongest mind storm suddenly became angry. "Stupid, have you forgotten where this child came from? What kind of place is the mortal world's 9 provinces? In the ancient era, the continent where the 100 saints came from, it was rumored that an ancient god had passed away. Later, it was attacked by the devil tribe. Could there be criminals who had escaped from the holy prison lurking there? Those criminals are still coveting the 9 regions. After that girl brought Lung Yuechi back, she confessed that this Lin Chun brat had rejected the recruitment of all the forces that descended to the mortal realm and had gone through life and death with the 9 provinces. Now that such a man has personally come to the sacred boundary, do you think things will be simple? His words, on the other hand, confused all of the mental consciousnesses. Did something happen in the 9 regions? Did someone defeat those fake god criminals? One of the spiritual storms said hesitantly, "No, those criminals are dead, and all of them." The strongest spiritual storm's words were so shocking that even the other experts were stunned. How is that possible? Those fellows used to be the most ferocious lunatics in the sacred boundary. Even if they were heavily injured, they could have easily left if they wanted to. How could they be buried in a mere mortal continent? The few of them were shocked, and the strongest spiritual storm seemed to not stop until it said something shocking. It said something even more shocking. If I tell you that those criminals were killed by this brat, would you still dare to have any ideas about him? Silence, an eerie silence. The few spiritual storms were surprisingly quiet. My silver eyes have sensed that at least 4 criminals were killed by this brat. There's a strong aura of killing saints on his body. Let me ask you, in the Sacred Boundaries Genius ranking, there are only 100,000 people, 10,000 people on the Immortal Genius ranking, and 1,000 ancient saints. How many of them can achieve such a feat? The strongest spiritual storm's voice was calm and ordinary, but it deeply shocked every expert who was talking to him. They were very clear about the huge gap between a combat emperor and a saint. Even the strongest 5th Tribulation combat emperor was just like a weak baby in front of a saint. A saint could kill him with just a wave of his hand. A combat emperor killing a saint? Throughout the countless epics of a saint's world, such battle achievements were extremely rare and astounding. What was even more frightening was that this brat had killed more than one saint. In other words, he wasn't a combat emperor. It was an unprecedented shock. All the Saint Realm experts present were shocked by the feat of Lin Chun, a young combat emperor. A combat emperor intimidated a Saint Realm expert? If this was spread out in the 36 domains, even the storytellers wouldn't dare to boast like this. However, they were very clear about the power of the Great Elder's Silver Eyes. It was a powerful bloodline ability that had helped the Ice Heart Palace survive several life and death crises. It had never been wrong. Then, the spiritual storm spoke with assurance. Of course, the stronger one is, the stronger his foundation. His background and opportunities are far beyond your expectations. Indeed, if you can suppress and kill him, you may be able to obtain his secrets, but that's on the premise that you have the strength to do so. As soon as this was said, many spiritual storms laughed awkwardly. Damn it, who would dare to provoke him? The god of longevity was hanging himself? A dead camel was bigger than a horse. They had lived for countless years, so they understood the meaning of this sentence. If they dared to provoke such a heaven-defying genius, let alone a 3rd-grade sect, even a 4th-grade sect, 5th-grade sect, or 6th-grade sect wouldn't be able to eat or sleep in peace. We must be on good terms with this boy. Considering that he lives and dies with the 9 provinces in the mortal world, he definitely won't be an ungrateful person. We almost made a big mistake, some spiritual storms said with lingering fear. Right now, why do we need to covet his secrets? Just as that girl said, we only need to help him take care of his women. Moreover, Yu Qi is now the direct disciple of the Palace Master, so her future potential won't be low. Even if he doesn't become our Ice Heart Palace's disciple, if he can become an existence above the Saint Realm in the future, how could we not benefit from being on good terms with him? The Great Elder's tone was filled with wisdom, and all the Saint Realm experts couldn't help but shiver. They deeply felt the importance of the Great Elder's decision this time. If they had taken action just now, Ice Heart Palace would have been consigned to eternal damnation. Lin Chun didn't know that the upper echelons of Ice Heart Palace had already figured out that he had killed the fake divinity. Although that battle was a deterrent, it wasn't without flaws. Lin Chun didn't have the second strengthened version of the God Slayer or the Sun God innate skill. If he was forced into a desperate situation and still didn't use the means he used to fight the fake divinity, and the upper echelons of Iceheart Palace knew about it, there would be masters coveting him again. Lin Shin still needed to grow at the fastest speed possible. If he didn't become a saint, he would be an ant. Inside the space tunnel, they quickly dove down. The three of them lost their footing. When they stood firm, they found themselves in a brand new world. The surroundings were lush and verdant, full of vitality, and cypress trees stood tall. Hundreds of colorful flowers vied with one another. Some of the grotesquely shaped branches were blooming with colorful flowers, making them appear colorful. Some towering ancient trees that had grown for hundreds of thousands of years covered a vast area of hundreds of mu. It was inconceivably lush. The endless sea of trees covered the entire sky. Even flying in the air would be difficult to rush out. This place was even more terrifying than the Great Desolate Realm, but it was even more terrifying and oppressive than the Great Desolate Realm. It was as if history was playing out in front of them. Something's not right. The killing intent nearby is very strong. Lin Shin activated his purple golden eyes and found that the surroundings were filled with killing intent. Many creatures should have died nearby, but for some reason, the surroundings were full of vitality and emerald green. The three of them moved forward cautiously, not daring to fly rashly. Suddenly, the purple-black demonic seal on Lin Shin's palm glowed and reacted. This demonic seal is actually reacting to this place. Could it be? Chapter 805. Lin Shin's heart skipped a beat. At this moment, Su Lan stepped on a soft vine. And this vine is actually soft. Rip! In a split second, that strange dark green vine wrapped around Su Lan's jade-like wrist. Even the battle chi that she subconsciously circulated couldn't cut it open. Chill! Su Lan flew out. She was almost dragged into the air by the terrifying power of the vine. 100 meters away, a brightly colored Nyoline flower emitted a black mist in a thousandth of a breath and turned pitch black. It opened the center of its petals like a giant beast opening its mouth. A few streams of sparkling liquid flowed out from the center, emitting a foul stench. The black mist was extremely corrosive and could actually gradually disintegrate Su Lan's battle chi defense. It was extremely disgusting. At this critical moment, Su Lan was about to be swallowed. With a swoosh, the sword light slashed horizontally like a star and cut off the vine. 2 white attribute light balls rolled down. Gee, that 4-zhang tall Nyoline flower actually let out a strange scream and actually retreated into a patch of lush vegetation and disappeared. Lin Chun hugged Su Lan, who was still in shock, with one hand, used silent steps, and instantly retreated to Su Lan's side. Extreme ice cover. Su Lan's reaction was extremely fast. She slammed her palm on the ground, and ice chi gushed out from her palm, freezing the ground and quickly forming 4 8-zhang tall ice walls to protect herself and her sister Su Lan, as well as the vigilant Lin Chun. What happened? What a terrifying thing. Su Lan was like a frightened little white rabbit, grabbing Lin Chen's arm and trembling. This was definitely not because she was too timid, but because this place was too strange. She was at the 5th level of the War Emperor, so her temperament and cultivation were definitely not weak. But in the scene just now, if Lin Chun had been a little slower, she would have been instantly swallowed by that strange flower. It had a strange poison that could disintegrate the War Emperor's battle chi. But at this moment, looking around, there was a patch of lush green and exuberant vitality. It was simply a primitive wilderness, as if nothing had happened. The more this atmosphere was like this, the stranger it was. It was too strange. Lin Chun had never seen such a forest before. Lin Chen's expression turned serious. We hit the jackpot. Lin Chen finally understood why Lung Yuechi would receive special treatment and be able to choose the spatial channel to teleport to a specific location. This Tsangyue mystery realm was terrifying. Although this place was calm and full of life, it was actually extremely deceptive. This forest was a place that devoured people without spitting out their bones. He and the Sioux sisters were already surrounded. Some of the things in this forest have already grown into existences similar to ferocious beasts. That guy just now is a creature with high intelligence. Lin Chen's words were so shocking that the sisters' expressions changed slightly. In fact, the real situation was much more serious than what was said. In this forest, even his golden-eyes twin could not see through which living beings had high-level intelligence and which were ordinary spiritual plants. Even Lin Chen could not see through them. If someone from the Ice Heart Palace came here like him, there was a 99% chance that they would die here. Su Lan's situation earlier, if not for Lin Chen's Devil Seal's warning and his purple golden eyes detection, coupled with his fast mental power, an ordinary combat emperor would not have been able to react in time. Most importantly, these living beings had the aura of the Devil Clan. Their attacks and methods were extremely powerful. Then how do we get out of here? Su Lan asked nervously. Lin Chen did not answer. The meridian sword in his hand shone brightly and slashed diagonally across the sky. A sword light that was more than 10 zhong bright like stars shot out. Swoosh! Swoosh! Bang! The sword light slashed diagonally across the sky, cutting countless branches and leaves. The sky was filled with fragments of light that fluttered in the air, but it was unable to break through the restriction. There seemed to be some invisible force that was thousands of zhong above the sky. I'm afraid that some living beings have set up a restriction, so we can't fly easily. Lin Chen sheathed his sword and smiled casually. Class leader, how can you still smile in such a scary place? Su Lan saw his smile and inexplicably felt relieved. This place is indeed very dangerous, but fortunately, it's not a problem for me. Let's go deeper and take a look. Lin Chen was a bold and skillful person. He broke open the ice wall and led the two girls forward. It seemed that he did not intend to find the exit, but instead, he wanted to go deeper into the core area. He casually picked up the 2 white attribute light balls that were floating in the air. Host has received 240 blank attribute points, 130 blank attribute points. Damn, what a high number of blank attribute points. This is good stuff. If I kill that guy, will there be more blank attribute points? Lin Chen's eyes lit up. His heart was filled with anticipation. Sure enough, danger and opportunity coexisted. These blank attribute points could be converted into enhancement points, which was equivalent to obtaining a few hundred enhancement points in one go. The two sisters followed Lin Chen with peace of mind. They believed that Lin Chen would not put them in danger and had complete trust in him. Why did Lin Chen dare to bring the two girls forward so recklessly? He realized that the purplish-black demonic seal in his palm was shining with different lights. However, if the light was stronger, it meant that there was a strange intelligent being nearby Lin Chen. If the light was weaker, it meant that it was far away. The last time I killed the demon monarch in the Sky Tower, there were blank attribute points in a magic crystal. I wonder how many there are here. Lin Chen snickered and dashed into the depths of the forest. Like a hungry wolf, he searched everywhere for the prey from just now. Here! After walking for a few miles, Lin Chen suddenly released a sword light and slashed at the Ba Wang flower between 2 10,000-years-old pine trees. Gee! The sword light twisted and twisted, and the Ba Wang flower that was hidden very cleverly suddenly burst out with a sharp cry. It turned into green blood and melted, and finally disappeared. More than 10 white attribute light balls rolled down. Lin Chen took them all, and his attributes increased. Obtained 150 blank attribute points, 230 points, 280 points, 110 points. Lin Chen's aura became stronger and stronger, and he slaughtered his way forward. Almost every time he killed one of these strange creatures, he would obtain close to 1,000 blank attribute points. At this critical juncture, where he was lacking enhancement points, this was a timely rain. However, this forest was very wide, and the foliage was lush. He could not fly, and his speed was far slower than a normal war emperor. Secondly, these strange creatures were not creatures that could be attacked by indiscriminate bombardment. They were extremely fast, and once there was a battle chi explosion nearby, they would immediately hide. Lin Shun could only rely on the demonic seal to find them. 3 days after Lin Shun entered the Blue Moon Trial, a shocking piece of news came from the Wonder Domain of the 36 Domains. The old second-grade sect, Starlight Palace, had been destroyed. This piece of news shook the entire Wonder Domain. Starlight Palace had an old Saint Realm expert overseeing it. Who dared to destroy a sect overseen by a saint? Even a Saint Realm expert had fallen. Chapter 806. One day ago, in the 36 regions of the sacred boundary, under a certain starry sky, the starry sand was like fire, burning slowly and wrapping around a figure standing upright. The young man's long hair was tied up, and he held a sword in his hand. His eyebrows were sharp, and his facial features were gradually becoming clearer. He was cold and arrogant. The wind howled angrily, causing his hair to dance in the wind like drifting silk threads. When it moved, one could see the young man's most mysterious pair of golden eyes. They shone like starlight, and his pupils were like 9 stars hanging in the sky. They were extremely bright and illusory. Opposite him was a mighty and shocking jade-robed young man. He possessed a noble bearing, and his figure stood towering in the sky like the sun and moon in the sky. He stood above all living beings and looked down upon all living beings. The man in the jade robe was a saint? Who are you? Why are you looking for trouble with the Starlight Palace? Are you trying to kill us all? The man in the jade robe shouted angrily, but the young man with the golden eyes was cold and emotionless. The only response he got was a sword. With one sword strike, billions of living things bowed their heads. The sky turned upside down, the mountains and rivers turned to ashes, and all living things were extinguished. The saint in the jade robe's expression changed drastically. That sword strike was earth-shattering, and it had the power to break through space. His attainment in the sword Tao had reached an extremely high level, and it was rare in the sacred boundary. Starbreak, sacred wheel, illumination. His saint body glowed brightly, and holy light condensed, turning into aurora saint wheels that sunk into the sun and moon. Mixed with the power to push the continental plates, they fiercely crushed that ultimate sword technique. The two sides collided head-on. Rip! Boom! A flash of light illuminated the entire heavens and the earth. It was like the heavens and the earth had been torn apart by a wisp of sword light in an instant. And it was like the heavens and the earth had actually recovered from collapse in a single breath of time since the moment the young man sheathed his sword. A bloody line appeared between the saint's eyebrows. He went from anger to madness, to shock, and then to loneliness and doubt in just a few breaths. What sword technique is that? The saint in the jade robe's voice was a little low. I woke up and created it on my own. It has no name and no style. It's called Breaking Dawn. The young man sheathed his sword, and he took the dazzling star stones in the sky. It was as if he was taking the stars. The jade-robed saint's pupils trembled slightly. At this moment, his saint body began to crack. His saint blood spurted out, and his flesh was torn apart. When the sword arrives, heaven and earth will be destroyed. When the sword is retracted, dawn will break. What a great sword move, Daybreak. I, the Heaven-Do Star Saint, have no complaints about my defeat. The jade-robed saint laughed self-mockingly and used his last bit of saint power to ask, "May I know your name?" The young man took the star stone and left. Before he left, he did not speak much. Sword God Lin Xingchen, Song Yu's secret realm. Endless Forest, the group of young sky prides madly activated their battle techniques and bombarded all the spiritual plants around them. Like a storm, everything in their path turned into ruins. They were trying to force their way out of this strange forest. However, the forest seemed to be incomparably vast as the sea. The 9 of them charged for 1,000 li, but they were still in the sea of forest. Finally, after the 9 of them performed many purple tier battle skills and ultimate skills, they temporarily fell into a state of battle chi exhaustion and recovery. Just as they swallowed medicinal pills and were about to refine the medicinal efficacy, the ground cracked open without any warning. TSK. Boom. A shocking chasm formed in a split second. Sharp blades flashed like blades as the abyss pounced and swallowed the 9 of them. Then, the ground healed, and the ground no longer bulged, returning to normal. All the spiritual plants destroyed by the 9 of them along the way were like bamboo shoots after the rain. They quickly grew back and recovered to their original state at a speed visible to the naked eye. The forest regained its former tranquility and peace, as if the bloody scene from before had never happened. We have already been in the endless forest for 3 days. Why haven't we reached the end? Are we going to die here? Don't talk nonsense. Look clearly beside us. There are 2 geniuses on the prodigy roll. This lineup is top-notch, even in the entire Tsang Yu secret realm. How can we die so easily in this godforsaken place? 8 figures pushed out from the lush greenery. They were both men and women. They wore crowns on their heads and had swords hanging from their waists. Their green robes fluttered, and 2 crimson flowers were embroidered on their backs. One was ice, and the other was fire. This was the symbol of a second-grade sect, the Yin and Yang Palace. The 2 people in the lead released their battle chi to protect the 8 people behind them. Among them, the handsome and devilish man had a hint of disdain in his eyes. A bunch of trash. Core disciples of the inner palace. You don't even have the guts to do this. The cold and elegant woman beside the handsome man had long hair that reached her waist. Her beautiful eyes swept over him and said indifferently, "Sir Ming, if you dislike my junior brothers and sisters, you can leave the team. I won't force you to stay." The beauty's long dress was like snow. Her black hair brushed past her delicate shoulders. Her soft and supple skin was like bright jade. Her black eyebrows were like the endless spring mountains. Her temperament was unparalleled. How could that be? Huh? The devilish young master laughed, but his heart was filled with resentment. Damn slut. If it wasn't for your icy eye intuition, I would have already done you on the spot. The beautiful eyes of the woman in the snow dress flickered with brilliance. The corner of her mouth curled into a graceful arc. The 2 of them had their own thoughts and were using each other. They were the 2 geniuses on the prodigy roll, Lan Ruoxiue and Gu Tianxie. The 2 of them were extremely powerful. They were both late-stage 9th layer combat emperors. However, in this endless forest, even those on the prodigy roll had to be careful. This was because this was the battlefield where the saints and the powerful devil race had fought. The blood of the immemorial giant devil had once spilled on this land, making it appear dense with devil chi. Thus, this forest was endowed with such strange creatures. Those spirit plants that had been tainted with the blood essence of the devil race had transformed into strange creatures that even peak combat emperors couldn't detect. Almost no one who entered this endless forest could leave alive. There was both black and white in this world. Yin and Yang were intertwined. Although the endless forest was terrifying in the Tsang Yu secret realm, only by finding the endless forest would one be able to find the Saint Qing mountain range that was nourished by the saint blood. This mountain range was nourished by the ancient saint blood and had created countless rare and precious treasures. Some of the treasures were so rare that even the saints would scramble for them. The group continued to move forward for a while. During this time, they met a few devil spirits that were hiding in the vegetation. However, they were all eliminated by the 2 geniuses on the prodigy roll. Just as the group was moving forward for half a day, suddenly, there was a rumbling sound. Everything fell silent, the earth shook, and a baleful aura soared into the 9 heavens. Not good. This is the aura of a peak devil spirit. Lan Ruoxiue's pretty face changed slightly. The flickering, icy vertical eye between her brows trembled slightly. "It's approaching us quickly. Retreat quickly." Under Lan Ruoxiue's command, the group immediately increased their speed and retreated rapidly. As soon as her voice fell, 2 devil spirit overlord flowers that were about 15 meters tall flew out like pythons in the sky and rushed out like lightning. The faces of Lan Ruoxiue's junior brothers and sisters changed slightly. There was a jackal in front and a tiger behind. Just as the two geniuses were about to kill the two devil spirit overlord flowers, a clear young man's voice suddenly sounded. F***CK. What you guys doing? Stop. Whoever dares to steal my little treasures, I won't let you off. The group was stunned for a moment. This endless forest was filled with devil spirits. What kind of treasures were there? At this moment, the two devil spirit overlord flowers were still opening their bloody mouths and dripping with a strong sour and corrosive green liquid. It was extremely nauseating. The corners of their mouths twitched violently. You call these things little treasures? Which deity's taste was so heavy that it was terrifying. Chapter 807. Chi. Hong Long. The overlord flower vine that was as thick as a flood dragon was cut into several pieces by a flash of swordlight. A silver-robed youth appeared, shocking Lan Ruoxue and Gu Tianxie into revealing a look of surprise. This person was not simple. Perhaps he was not as good as a genius on the genius ranking, but he had some skills. After cutting the demon overlord flower with a single slash, the silver-robed youth went around it twice, making everyone confused. Hey, yeah, it really is a treasure. It's worth another 2,000 points. The silver-robed youth said something that was unclear. Beside him were two nation-collapsing beauties that made Gu Tianxie's eyes light up. The group of people did not care about this madman. When they activated their battle chi and used their movement techniques, with an explosion, the heavens fell and the earth split. The earth's crust around them quickly changed, turning pitch black. Foundations rose in all directions, and in a radius of 1,000 miles, 8 giant walls over 1,000 feet tall were erected. They were indestructible and impregnable. The black walls gave off a black and hard metallic feeling. Their killing intent soared to the heavens, and like giant waves, they surrounded the 13 people. This is bad. The top-level demon spirit of the endless forest has made its move. I never thought that even the earth vein was its main body. This is a demon spirit that has absorbed a large amount of the demon race's sacred blood. Lan Ruoxue's face was serious. Gu Tianxie's eyes were already thinking about how to sell these fellows and charge out. This was just the beginning. After the 8 black walls were raised, they were like a bowl hanging upside down, leaving behind a gap in the sky that was several dozen feet wide. Shio. A large number of demonic spirits shot in through the gap at extremely fast speed. Was this still an encirclement of turtles in a jar? This top-level demon spirit is planning on exhausting us to death. We can only fight to the death. We have no other choice. Everyone's eyes were sharp. Everyone was prepared to risk their lives and fight to the death. Only Lan Ruoxue, who had always been cold, arrogant, and noble, was visibly moved today. Her pupils trembled slightly, and her pretty face was filled with disbelief as if she had seen a ghost. It was not because they were surrounded by the top-level demon spirits, but rather because of the silver-robed youth beside her. At this time, his eyes were wide open, and his eyes were full of ecstasy and excitement as he stared at the demon spirits that rushed into the black wall from outside the gap. He even swallowed a mouthful of saliva as the corners of his mouth trembled. He was so excited that he was like a 1,000-year-old drunkard who had encountered a 10,000-year-old fine wine, or a 100-year-old bachelor who had entered the boudoir of a peerless beauty. At this moment, he grinned, smiling like a child. He was overjoyed. Lan Ruoxue subconsciously blurted out her thoughts. Is this person crazy? How could he still laugh in such a desperate situation? If he wasn't sick in the head, then he must be crazy. Even someone as strong as her and Gu Tianxie on the genius rankings was facing a life-threatening situation like this. Could it be that he could do a better job than the two of them by several times? Lan Ruoxue recalled how he called her little darling just now and couldn't help but feel a chill run down her spine. Could this guy be related to the demon race? These devil spirits were absolutely harmless to the human race. In a single breath, there were several dozen devil spirits that rushed into the encirclement. Lin Shan couldn't help breaking out in wild laughter. That's great. Who the F asterisk CK built such a high wall? They even called so many little cuties over. I love you to death, ha ha ha. Hearing his maniacal laughter, the crowd shuddered. The way they looked at Lin Shan was as if they wanted to kill him. You call these things little cuties? He was crazy. They could melt you into nothing in a minute. How were they cute? Cute my ass. Crazy, he must be crazy. It can't be that this madman startled that devil spirit, right? We were actually killed by a madman. The group of people were filled with anger. If it wasn't for the fact that they were in a life and death situation, they would have beaten this madman. But to Lin Shan, where did these demonic spirits have the slightest bit of ferocity? They were simply walking blank attribute values. In the past 3 days, he had only killed about 50 devil spirits. These guys were very good at hiding, and their speed was extremely fast. Even if Lin Shan had the devil's seal, he would still have to chase after them occasionally, which would waste a lot of time. Now, there were more than 100 devil spirits that were presented to him as gifts. If these weren't treasures, then what were they? These were the F asterisk king peerless little cuties. Triflower sword shadow, sky breaking hammer, dual heaven of ice and fire. 8th, 7th, and 8th level combat emperors instantly launched a fierce attack. The earth-shattering battle chi swept in all directions and blasted towards the 4 devil spirits that were attacking them. What are you guys doing? Someone was anxious. His aggressive mental energy rippled like ripples, instantly crushing 70% of the battle chi attacks into nothingness. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. A dark vortex spun as Lin Shan blocked everyone's attacks in a split second. He then used his silent step to save the demonic spirit blood rose that was closest to him. He held it in his arms and used his second silent step at lightning speed to avoid the last 30% of the battle chi attack. Everyone was dumbfounded. What's going on? This guy actually managed to shatter their attacks. He even saved a devil spirit. Is he still a F asterisk king human? Lin Shan hugged the blood rose devil spirit and retreated to the side. The devil spirit was shivering in his arms. He stroked the little cutie with heartache and said worriedly, "How are you, little darling? Are you hurt? If you were hurt, I would be very distressed." Of course, he would be distressed. He was distressed for his attribute points. If the devil spirit was killed by someone else, he wouldn't even get a fart. Lan Ruoxue and the others almost vomited blood. Oh my God, where did this lunatic come from? He's a human, and you're distressed for a devil spirit that eats people without spitting out their bones? What's wrong with this world? Is he too arrogant, or are we too weak to wield a blade? Lan Ruoxue and the other junior sisters looked at each other. Their eyes were filled with disbelief and astonishment. Junior brother number 1, I'm Buddha. Junior sister number 2, I'm Buddha too. Could it be that this guy isn't a human, but a demon? But that's not right. He clearly used battle aura. In addition, his mental power is incomparably vigorous. He doesn't seem like a demon at all. He has no reason or motive to help these devil spirits. Only Lan Ruoxue noticed that his movement technique was very unusual. It was so fast that even she had to take it seriously. Seeing more and more devil spirits pouring in, Lan Ruoxue didn't have time to wait. She was about to question Lin Shan. "Sir, we don't have time." After stroking it for a while, Lin Mao smashed the demon spirit blood rose flower in his arms, and 6 white light attribute light balls rolled out. Lin Shan took them and obtained a total of 580 blank attribute points. This scene made everyone even more puzzled. Is this guy sick or not? He called them little cuties, but he killed them with a slap in the blink of an eye? Damn it, you bastards. Whoever dares to touch these little cuties again, I'll hammer all of you to death. Lin Mao warned everyone fiercely. He wasn't joking. A large number of devil spirits in the encirclement had blank attribute points all over the place. For Lin Shan, who lacked strengthening points, this was a huge sum of money falling from the sky. As long as he killed these guys, Lin Shan could strengthen most of his weapons and cultivation techniques to +10 or +11. his strength could at least double again. If these guys massacred them wantonly, then he wouldn't even be able to earn a single strand of hair. He would lose a lot of money every minute. Therefore, Lin Chen's killing intent was serious. He would hammer whoever dared to touch his little cuties. Chapter 808. Damn, my luck is really bad. In these 3 days, everyone else has already obtained countless rare treasures in the Dark Moon Mystic Realm. But this young master was teleported to the Endless Forest. Then I was surrounded by top-level demon spirits, surrounded by a large number of demon spirits, and even encountered such a stupid thing. After a series of unfortunate events, Gu Tianxie could no longer maintain his pretentious demeanor. He cursed angrily with a ferocious expression. He didn't even bother to attack Lin Shun. He directly slapped his palm, and the wind from his palm turned into rolling black wind blades. The black blade whirlwind, which was more than 100 feet long, attacked the gap in the black wall. He stomped his foot and stepped on the black wind whirlwind blades. Did he want to force his way through? Rip! Bang! The sword light whistled like a meteor in all directions. It cut off all the black wind whirlwind blades. The faces of the people from the Yin and Yang Palace changed. That lunatic actually dared to protect the demon spirits? Gu Tianxie's face was brutal and cruel. He stared at Lin Shan like a wild beast. Do you want to die? You're the one who wants to die. Damn it, you're asking for a beating. Lin Shan stepped through the air with the sword Meridian in his hand. The sword emitted a 9-colored sword light that was extraordinary. Lin Shan instantly used the silent step. His speed was extremely fast. With pure strength and the gold calamity battle physique, his sword chi soared into the sky and slashed at Gu Tianxie's shoulder. You're just in the early stage of the 8th tier. Do you think you can be arrogant just because you have some brute strength and movement skills? Get lost. Gu Tianxie's battle chi surged. He flicked his fingers, and the black wind blades danced in the air. They surged into Lin Chen's sword light, and then he attacked Lin Shun with his palm. Lin Shun attacked with his sword and slashed at Gu Tianxie's waist. The latter instantly turned and dodged the attack. Lin Shun activated the 6th tier transformation at lightning speed. His cultivation broke through the bottleneck and entered the early stage of the 9th tier. He caught up and fought with Gu Tianxie in an instant. The people from the Yin and Yang Palace sucked in a cold breath. What was going on? A lunatic of unknown origin was actually on par with a genius on the genius ranking. However, this wasn't the most dangerous thing. The most dangerous thing was the demon spirits that were rushing into the encirclement. They seemed to have a tacit understanding and seemed to have received some kind of order. Ever since they rushed into the encirclement inside the high wall, they did not attack without permission. Instead, they hid within the encirclement within a radius of 1,000 miles, waiting for a more suitable time to attack. How can that be? Elda Senior Sister, those devil spirits are still pouring in. They are waiting for an opportunity. It must be that immemorial devil spirit's doing. The disciples of the Yin and Yang Palace were shocked and terrified. These demonic spirits might not be very strong in a head-on battle, but they had many tricks up their sleeves and were extremely fast. Within their attacking range, it was almost impossible to withstand several demonic spirits at the same time. This was because most of them had the ability to disintegrate the devilish energy of a top-grade combat emperor. On the contrary, Lan Ruoxue, who was leading the team, surprisingly began to calm down. This guy isn't stupid, it's just that his actions are a bit crazy. More importantly, the 2 women following him seemed to be cultivating Ice Heart Palace's true inheritances. Although their cultivations are only at the 5th layer, the aura of their secret arts isn't low. The 2 of them aren't panicking in the face of danger and don't look like they're about to die. Countless thoughts flashed through the mind of the exceptionally intelligent Lan Ruoxue. Her intuition and ice eyes probing ability far exceeded that of ordinary prodigies. Su Lan and her sister's attitude allowed her to see a breakthrough. If they tried to break out of the encirclement, it was very likely that the madman would attack them. From away, he dared to kill the demonic spirits. It wasn't that he wouldn't attack the demonic spirits, he just didn't want them to attack. Secondly, if they broke out of the encirclement, there were still immemorial devil spirits waiting for them outside. With Gu Tianxie leaving the team, she might have a chance if she stayed alone. However, if she had to protect her junior brothers and sisters, the chances were close to zero. She might even lose her life here. Lan Ruoxue made a decision in almost a breath's time. Stay here and wait for orders. Everyone, focus your energy on defense. Unless it's absolutely necessary, don't make a move. Lan Ruoxue's decision shocked the 8 of them, but they could only believe in this eldest senior sister of the Yin and Yang Palace who was on the genius ranking. Rumble. Pum. The 8 of them had just activated their defenses when dazzling lights flashed and sword light exploded in the sky. Everyone looked up and sucked in a cold breath. The one who was forced to retreat was Gu Tianxie. Could it be that this kid could defeat a genius on the genius ranking? Lan Ruoxue narrowed her eyes. Gu Tianxie hadn't shown his true strength yet. However, being able to force Gu Tianxie to retreat was already a very shocking achievement. One had to know that all the geniuses on the genius ranking were monsters who could challenge ordinary first or second tribulation battle emperors. This showed that this silver-robed youth had at least the combat strength of a first tribulation battle emperor. The increase brought by the mental cultivation method is indeed heaven-defying. Without using any runes, not even the 7 transformation or the ultimate moment, he actually has such a strong combat strength. Lin Chun was ecstatic. The plus 12 mental cultivation method of the 9 tribulations of creation increased the overall power by 170%. It was simply heaven-defying. If it was in the past, he would need at least the 7th transformation and the ultimate moment to reach this level. However, now, just the Azura's 6th transformation was enough to make his scalp tingle. Gu Tianxie flew into a rage out of humiliation. Damn it, I want to walk around as an ordinary person, but I didn't expect to be targeted. I'll stop pretending. I'm a genius on the genius ranking. I'm the evil bone demonic scythe, Gu Tianxie, ranked 99990. If you know what's good for you, you'd better get out of here. Lin Chun was taken aback. Soon after, he let out a wild laugh. Haha, the genius ranking. I'm going to fight your F*King genius ranking. With a flash of sword light, thousands of sword rays shot out like a windstorm, rolling and whistling like a sword waterfall. In the center of the sword waterfall were 7 consecutive sword stars. It was the highest level of the 7-star sword manual. The universe, 7 stars. What the F*CK? Why is this guy attacking even more fiercely? The people of the Yin and Yang Palace were shocked. He dared to attack, even though he knew the opponent's background and ranking. Is this guy also a genius on the genius ranking? Rip. A white light flashed vertically. It was a 7-meter-long whip made of white bones. It swept furiously and crushed the sword waterfall. Gu Tianxie was holding a white bone whip in his hand. His imposing manner rose like an emissary from hell. His whole body was emitting a murderous aura. He's using his evil bone demonic scythe. This guy's going to get serious. Lan Ruoxue's beautiful eyes turned serious. Most of the geniuses on the genius ranking were like this. Once they got serious and used their trump cards, it meant that they wanted to kill. However, what surprised her even more was Lin Chen's strength. This guy could actually force him to this extent. However, the stronger Lin Chen was, the better. She would only have a chance to break out if she led her junior brothers and sisters. Since you can force me to this extent, then die. Gu Tianxie sneered and lashed out with his bone whip. It was like a fierce and domineering gust of wind. Its sharpness was terrifying, and it stirred up a strong, bloody wind. Lin Chen quickly waved his meridian sword. Sword lights surged, and starlight shot out in all directions. It turned into a snowflake-like sword energy that slashed out. Clang! Even though Lin Chen was using pure strength, the bone whip still easily crushed the starlight sword energy. The sharp blades twisted in Lin Chen's direction and crushed his body. Lin Shun instantly dodged to the side. He glanced at the meridian sword in his hand and narrowed his eyes. He increasingly felt that the geniuses on the genius ranking were all monsters. The bone whip in Gu Tianxie's hand had actually extended from his palm. Was it a part of his bones? There is such a thing? Its hardness and power were equivalent to a top-tier 7th-rank weapon. None of the weapons in Lin Chen's possession could be compared to this, unless they had undergone a high level of enhancement. Once this bone whip was used, Gu Tianxie revealed his true strength. Every whip was suppressing Lin Chun. The more special you guys on the genius ranking are, the more excited I am after defeating you. The more attribute light balls and attribute treasure chests you drop, the more I'll beat you up. Lin Chun revealed a wild smile. The water calamity battle chi in his body surged, and he activated the 7th transformation. His cultivation was about to break through to the mid-stage 9th rank. Outside the black wall, a huge distorted shadow slowly approached. It seemed to be twisting a pair of eyeballs, releasing a cruel and violent aura. The violent eyeballs looked at the situation inside the high wall. The nearby demon spirits were attracted and crazily rushed into the high wall. This pair of eyes seemed to have a high level of intelligence, as if it was waiting for an opportunity. Chapter 809. The sword whistled like a dragon. The golden calamity battle chi was indestructible. It condensed into a golden aura and turned into a sword light, flying in all directions to attack Gu Tianxie. The bone whip spun like a dragon, creating layers of whip flowers. The bone whip clashed with the sword light again and again. Lin Chun fought fiercely with Gu Tianxie. Although he used the 7-layer transformations, Gu Tianxie was able to wield the bone whip as if it was his own arm, using many high-level battle techniques. On top of that, Lin Chen's meridian sword was slightly weaker. For the time being, Lin Chun could only circle around and parry his attacks. Lin Chun did not dare to approach him or attack him from behind. System: strengthen the meridian sword and the 7-star sword manual. Consume 24 strengthening points. Strengthening the 7-star sword manual +1. Power increase 10%. Consume 39 strengthening points. Consume 242 strengthening points. Strengthening the 7-star sword manual +12. Power increase 30%. Consume 23 strengthening points. Strengthening the meridian sword +1. Power increase 10%. Consume 37 strengthening points. Consume 230 strengthening points. Strengthening the meridian sword +12. Power increase 30%. Lin Chen only used 3440 strengthening points to strengthen the meridian sword to +12. The sword and sword skills power increased by 170%. With the +12 9 Tribulation Creation Heart Sutra, it was like a raging dragon had awakened. Try this Lin's +12 sword skill, specialized in cutting idiots. Sila. Dang. The sword light filled the sky. Lin Chun suddenly charged forward, holding the sword with both hands. With a horizontal slash, he sent Gu Tianxie's bone whip flying. Immediately after, he sent out a second slash. Starlight surged, and as sharp as a snowflake flashed past. The sword chi was like a crescent moon, cutting through the wind and waves. Gu Tianxie was shocked and was caught off guard. Chi. The moon-like sword chi was mixed with faint starlight. It pierced through his battle chi defense. His left shoulder was wounded, and blood flowed out. In Lin Chen's eyes, 8 elemental light balls fell out. How is this possible? His swordsmanship and the power of his sword have suddenly increased by a large margin. Even his sword dares to clash with my rotten bones? Seeing the deep cyan glow of the meridian sword, Gu Tianxie was shocked and bewildered. Even Lan Ruoxue, who was spectating the battle, couldn't help but feel puzzled and stunned. In the eyes of these two geniuses, this wave of improvement from Lin Chun was truly bizarre to the extreme. How could there be such a strange thing in this world? The power of swords and swordsmanship could be increased by a large margin at the same time. Swordsmanship could still be considered passable, but in terms of battle techniques, there was a sudden epiphany that could allow one to break through the limits. But could it be that this sword had the ability to break through one's cultivation? Impossible. The grade of the materials used to forge the weapon was limited. How could the weapon's might suddenly increase by such a large margin? Strange. It was too strange. This lunatic who had appeared out of nowhere seemed to be full of secrets. Gu Tianxie instantly looked at the gap above him. Less and less demon spirits were pouring in, and the gap was shrinking. He secretly felt that things were bad. There's no time to waste on this lunatic. The immemorial demon spirits are closing the encirclement. If we don't rush out now, it'll be too late. Gu Tianxie's body was covered in a dark red battle chi that flowed with violent blood energy. He poured it into the bone whip, and its power increased sharply, as if he was possessed by an immemorial blood python. Coiling Dragon's 10 twists, die for me. The twisting bone whip extended for dozens of feet. Its power was vast and mighty. The blade of the whip was like the fangs of a giant python, biting and twisting. It was like a giant python from the immemorial era was strangling and attacking Lin Chun from all directions. It's his Coiling Dragon's 10 twists, a top purple tier battle technique. Lan Ruoxue's beautiful eyes trembled. Even she had to take out her trump card to deal with this move. Ultimate moment. Finally, at this moment, Lin Chun went all out. His body was covered in a dark cyan glow, and his sword energy soared into the sky. It's still not enough. This battle technique is far beyond my 7-star swordsmanship. Ultimate moment can only break the move, but not hurt the body. Lin Chen's eyes were sharp. He suddenly held his sword with both hands. The starlight was like refracted lightning, and 9 calamities battle chi flashed on the sword. Activated charging and penetrating runes. Consumed 120,000 rune energy. 7 stars extinction. With a furious roar, Lin Chun swung the sword with both of his hands. The sword edge drew a half-moon arc, and the sword light soared into the sky. The tip of the sword condensed into 7 beams of starlight, which were about 10 feet long, and shot towards the bone python. Chi! Bang! 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 The starlight sword energy collided with the bone python, causing the starlight to tremble. The sword energy pierced through the bone python and twisted it, sending it flying thousands of meters away. The pupils of the 2 great geniuses trembled. What? While Gu Tianxie was shocked, the sword energy overflowed and pierced through his battle chi defense. Even his defensive treasured weapon was damaged. The sword energy surged and pierced through his body. Pucci! Gu Tianxie spat out blood and retreated. Dozens of attribute light balls rolled down his body. The disciples of the Yin and Yang Palace gasped. He actually injured a genius on the genius ranking? Host has activated the passive innate skill, Fatal Bloodthirst. Received 25% healing from physical damage. The innate skill combination has been triggered. You can now use the combination innate skill. Lin Chun used the silent step. His mental cultivation method plus 12 stacked to the ultimate level. His body movement was so fast that even Lan Ruoxue could only see his afterimage. Gu Tianxie's eyes were filled with hatred. He suddenly crushed the bloodlight disc in his palm. Bang! His battle chi rippled like ripples and turned into a bloody light that shot into the sky. It was so fast that it seemed to jump through space. Lin Chen's sword missed. Damn it! I'll remember you. Before he left, Gu Tianxie's resentful and cold rebuke was heard. I didn't expect that Gu Tianxie would be forced to use the blood-weeping disc. This guy is really something. Lan Ruoxue's heart trembled. This was Gu Tianxie's life-saving trump card. He would not use it unless he had no other choice. It was a trump card that consumed his own blood essence. It required silver, Saint Origin coins, and many medicinal herbs to recover. Almost at the same time, Gu Tianxie charged out of the high wall, With a pung sound, the high wall closed. Darkness covered 1,000 miles. The high black wall was like an inverted bowl, imprisoning the people from the heaven and earth palace, Lin Shun and Lan Ruoxue. Silence and darkness fell. Only the group of people in the center released their battle chi, becoming the only light in the darkness. Received 195 strengthening points, 100,000 talent points, 95 million blood essence, 88 million battle chi essence, 30,000 mental energy, 244 strengthening points. Opened 4 purple crystal treasure chests. Received 10 rune evolution stones, 2,000 strengthening points, 800 silver Saint Origin coins. As expected of the genius ranking, I've earned another few thousand strengthening points. If I knew this would happen, I would have used the charging rune to hit him a few more times. He's really a money tree. Lin Shun looked around. The surroundings were silent, but there was a hidden killing intent. Sir, what do you plan to do? We've already followed your rules and did not attack. Do you want us to wait for death here? Lan Ruoxue asked. After the battle, just now, she was certain that the youth in front of her was not a madman. She knew that Gu Tianxie had not used his full strength and had only used the blood-weeping disc because he wanted to quickly escape. But Lin Chen's battle strength had still shocked her. The Heaven and Earth Palace disciples were worried. They wondered what their eldest senior sister was doing. Was there any room for negotiation with this madman? Relax, it's not your turn to attack. I'm looking forward to them coming. Lin Chun waved his hand. With a thought, he activated the illusory runes and suddenly released 4 clones from thin air. At this moment, Lan Ruoxue was stunned. Chapter 8:10. Ultimate Moment. Return to Origin. Activated Ultimate Moment. Ultimate Convergence. 150,000 talent points consumed. Activated Talent Combination. Sovereign's Descent. Beginning to accumulate energy. 0 points. The brilliance of the ultimate moment lingered around the 4 clones. They were extraordinarily handsome, as if they were covered in holy light. These 4 people were actually his clones? But that didn't seem right. Even her icy eyes couldn't see through the flaws of these 4 people. This aura was exactly the same as the aura of the main body. There was no difference at all. Go, kill them all. Lin Chun waved one hand, and the 4 clones moved at the same time. They stepped on a dark vortex and rushed out in all directions. The 4 clones were either holding swords and bows, or using pure strength and firepower, or brandishing the 5-color dragon spear. They were ferocious and domineering. They killed from 10 miles to hundreds of miles away. Bang, bang, bang. The continuous explosions reflected the encirclement within the high wall. Along with the explosions, a large number of demonic spirits were also killed. Screech, screech. Ear-piercing screeches kept rising and falling. A large number of demonic spirits were buried here. Finally, some of the demonic spirits couldn't suppress their fear. They ignored the orders of the primordial demonic spirit and crazily attacked everyone. Die! The meridian sword in Lin Chen's hand drew a rainbow-like sword aura and instantly slashed out hundreds of sword auras, killing all the demonic spirits that tried to sneak attack. Talent combination, Sovereign's Descent. Energy accumulation, 30,000 points, 50,000 points, 100,000 points, 250,000 points. The demonic spirits died, and the energy of Sovereign's Descent rose rapidly. Countless light balls of blank attributes filled the ground. Lin Chen's eyes became brighter and brighter as he crazily collected a large number of blank attributes. He couldn't help but laugh wildly. Haha, awesome, this is so King awesome. I really want to have a few hundred more. Why are there so few? Is there no one that can satisfy me? Is it wrong to be too persistent? Seeing Lin Chun killing the demonic spirits like killing chickens and hearing his wild laughter, the disciples of the Yin and Yang Palace couldn't help but shiver and tremble. This is simply a pervert. Isn't this your little baby? He killed them as if they were chickens. How could he not recognize them after pulling up his pants? So strong. These were clones. If he had released his 4 clones from the beginning, then Gu Tianxie would have. The corners of Lan Ruoshue's mouth curled up slightly like a melting iceberg, revealing a rare smile. She made the right bet. This person did indeed have the strength to be ranked on the genius rankings. Furthermore, the hope of breaking out of the encirclement completely depended on him. Lin Shun had the demonic seal, so he could basically sense the approximate location of each demonic spirit. All he needed to do was to launch a series of fierce attacks. If his battle chi was depleted, he could use ultimate restoration. It was not a problem at all. Roar. The high walls shook. A roar that tore through the skies resounded through the world. This was the roar of an ancient demon spirit. Is something big coming? Lin Chen's eyes narrowed as he saw the ground split open without any warning. 1,000-meter-long trench appeared, revealing a ferocious set of teeth that bit towards Lin Shun. A sneak attack. Lin Shun, who was already prepared, instantly used Silent Step. Conversely, he gathered his spiritual power and spun it rapidly. He activated 2 major attack runes and made a hand seal, activating the +10 annihilation technique. Spiritual annihilation energy burst out from between his eyebrows, condensing into a beam of light that shot out like a meteor crashing onto the ground. Bang! Boom! A terrifying spiritual storm suddenly exploded, and the spiritual shock wave that overturned everything shook the ground. Lan Ruoshue's eyes were sharp, and her hands were fast. With a flip of her hand, a red and blue beam of light enveloped all her junior brothers and sisters, blocking the aftermath of the spiritual storm. Gee! The cracked ground let out a shrill scream. Lin Shun instantly pulled out the Meridian Sword. His sword moves were like the 7 stars in the sky. He continuously performed sword arts, each of his moves reaching the level of perfection, piercing and slashing, bombarding the ground. 7 ultimate force, 3 forces in 1. The other doppelganger assisted Lin Chen's main body. Pure strength erupted, using both fists and legs, or whipping and smashing horizontally, or punching wildly. Every move used penetration and charging runes, and the power of the +10/7 ultimate force exploded. Endless power was penetrated into the demon spirit's body with 25% of its characteristics. That kind of momentum could be said to be overwhelming, shaking the entire ground. Originally, the primordial demon spirit had planned to use ordinary demon spirits to surround and exhaust everyone's strength before reaping the harvest himself. But who knew that a certain Lin Feng would appear midway, Madman Lin, and mess up the primordial demon spirit's plan? Bang! 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 The ground kept shaking, and the abyss-like bloody mouth was hit repeatedly. Demon spirits were not demons, after all. They were good at sneak attacks, but their huge size and vitality were still not something demons and top direbees could compare to. Crash! A large number of white attribute light balls kept rolling down, and in the end, the primordial demon spirit seemed to have retreated back into the ground alive. It was beaten away by Lin Shun. At the same time, all the demon spirits within a 500-mile radius were killed by Lin Shun in 15 minutes, leaving only blank attribute light balls. Received 450 blank attribute points, 350 blank attribute points, 780 blank attribute points, 150 blank attribute points. The clone quickly and efficiently harvested a large number of white attribute light balls, and the blank attribute points were simply flying all the way. But Lin Shun did not want to let go of that primordial demon spirit. That was a big guy full of attribute points. Damn it, you want to run after acting cool? Lin Shun smashed the ground with his fist, and the ground shook. At this time, the primordial demon spirit had already escaped. Lan Ruoshue and the others were shocked to the core, and goosebumps appeared all over their bodies. This guy actually wants to chase after that primordial demon spirit. He's too King fierce. The people from the Heaven and Earth Palace were still in shock, but Lin Shun said, "The other demon spirits are already dead. Hurry up and concentrate on attacking the southern wall. Then you can break through directly." Lan Ruoshue and her junior brothers and sisters exchanged glances, and they quickly moved and rushed toward the southern wall. "Everyone attack with me!" Lan Ruashua shouted coldly, and everyone prepared their attacks. Even Su Lan and her sister attacked together, and a terrifying attack burst out. In an instant, the dark encirclement exploded with battle aura light rays that filled the sky. They exploded one after another, and the sky was filled with water and fire. But the first wave of attacks only shook the black wall a little, and a faint crack appeared on it. "It's not powerful enough." Again, Lan Ruashua frowned and was about to attack again. "Enough, get out of the way." As soon as he finished speaking, 3 figures stepped through the air. The 3 clones spun in the air, and the penetration and charging runes were activated. Their legs were like heavy axes, and 3 moves, 7 ultimate strength, 3 forces in 1, exploded on the giant black wall with a bang. The giant black wall shattered and collapsed. A ray of light shone in from the outside, and everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. This was because there was a gigantic pitch-black phantom that was thousands of feet tall, standing outside the southern wall. It was shaped like a towering ancient tree, but its countless branches and leaves had transformed into sharp claws. It had 3 heads that resembled lions, and a murderous aura emanated from it. "This is bad. That big fellow hasn't left yet." Lan Ruashua's heart skipped a beat. This demon spirit's aura was tyrannical just by standing in front of her, like a river flowing through the earth. Even if she attacked with all her strength, her chances of victory might not exceed 20%. At least 3 geniuses on the Genius Decree had to attack with all their strength in order to guarantee their safety. But in this dangerous place where they didn't know each other, who would trust each other to reveal their trump cards and attack with all their strength? Wasn't this the same as leaving their backs open to the enemy? Seeing everyone break out of seclusion, the ancient demon spirit let out a long howl. It opened its demonic mouth hundreds of feet wide, wanting to swallow everyone. But its eyes suddenly stopped moving. Lin Ming had already gathered his strength and was ready to attack. He stepped through the air, a bow drawn, and the arrow tip flowed with an aura that could make the world tremble. He smiled coquettishly. "Why don't you shout? Why aren't you shouting? Weren't you very arrogant just now? You even dared to launch a sneak attack. Do you believe I won't shoot you in the face?" Chapter 8:11. Whoosh! Lin Shun pulled the Wind Emperor bow to its limit and released the arrow. This was an arrow that could steal the name of heaven and earth. The arrow light was condensed from battle chi of 9 tribulations. It flowed with destructive divine light and shot toward the primordial demon spirit head-on. After releasing the life seizing, Lin Shun used up all his battle chi. The moment the arrow light shot out, it was enhanced by his talent, and its power skyrocketed. Retreat! Lan Ruashua immediately covered the people of the Heaven and Earth Palace and retreated quickly. The primordial demon spirit wanted to dodge, but unexpectedly, a grayish-white talisman that was more than 100 feet in size suddenly fell from the sky and suppressed the universe. Activated level 6 slowing talisman. Consumed 10 million points of mid-level rune energy. This slowing talisman caught the primordial demon spirit off guard and sealed it for half a breath's time. The life-seizing arrow seemed to have stopped at this moment. Then, like an aurora, it suddenly hit the primordial demon spirit. Bang! Chi! The sharp and fierce battle chi storm was like a blade cutting through everything. The energy storm that was thousands of feet in length twisted everything in its way. With the enhancement of the Sovereign's Descent, this arrow's power skyrocketed by almost 31 times. It was so strong that even Lan Ruashua felt a dangerous and fatal aura. After the arrow light dissipated, the primordial demon spirit was still standing, but its body was in tatters, as if its limbs were broken. It's still not dead. The disciples of the Heaven and Earth Palace twitched their mouths. This primordial demon spirit is equivalent to a battle emperor. In addition, The demon blood energy here is extremely pure. It can devour other low-level demon spirits to heal itself, so it won't die so easily. However, it's seriously injured and has less than 30% of its combat power left. Lan Roashue's eyes were piercingly cold. Then, she saw Lynch and suddenly say, "You guys delay it. I'll go and stab it in the eye." The people of the Heaven and Earth Palace were stunned. Wait, why are you stabbing it in the eye? Was this person really sick in the head? That's a primordial demon spirit. You won't even let go of the demon spirit's chrysanthemum region? This is 2F * King crazy. His strength is directly proportional to his level of freakishness. F * CK. Everyone felt goosebumps all over their bodies. At this moment, Lin Shen's clone had already made a move to forcefully stop this primordial demon spirit. Lan Roashue led the team and joined in the siege. At least her junior brothers and sisters' lives were saved. Now they just had to hold this big guy back. At this time, the immemorial demon spirit let out a long roar and waved dozens of tentacle-like sharp claws at an extremely fast speed, cutting through the sharp blade wind. However, Lan Roashue's intuition ice pupil found that the immemorial demon spirit's aura was still gradually recovering, and it actually showed signs of recovery. He saw the thick, black, and long demonic roots buried deep in the ground, continuously absorbing the essence gathered from all directions, and the injured parts began to heal. It absorbs the blood essence of low-level devil spirits to heal itself. Lan Roashue shouted coldly. She was warning her junior brothers and sisters, and also informing Lin Shen. Lin Shen used silent steps and was extremely fast. After a series of twists and turns, he finally locked onto a harder area on the primordial fiend spirit's body. With the Five Dragons' imperial spear in hand, he suddenly descended and stabbed. TSK. Poof! The spear light tore through the hard area, and the immemorial demon spirit, which was covered in pitch-black demonic aura, let out a sharp roar. Lin Shen once again used a level 6 slowing rune with 10 million runes energy to suppress the immemorial demon spirit on the spot. I want to see if your recovery speed can keep up with my output speed. Ha! Lin Shen held the spear and stabbed wildly, using pure strength. He crazily used 100 spears fighting Emperor, continuously activating the charging and penetrating runes, not giving the other party any time to react. Host has activated the assault talent. Power increased by 50%. Every spear was buffed with 2 offensive runes and the assault talent's amplification. Not to mention that he was in the ultimate moment state. With the addition of pure strength, Lin Shen's every spear thrust into the immemorial demon spirit's body was extremely terrifying. Whoosh, 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 a burst of white attribute light balls bloomed and fell from the immemorial demon spirit's body like rain. Received 1,390 blank attribute points, 1,405 blank attribute points, 1,130 blank attribute points, 1,190 blank attribute points. Lin Shen's system screen crazily rolled down, dazzling the eyes. His blank attribute points had simply soared to an unprecedented level. In the previous wave of encirclement, Lin Shen had annihilated nearly 300 demonic spirits and gained nearly 300,000 blank attribute points. However, this primordial demonic spirit had caused his blank attribute points to shoot straight to the 400,000 mark. G. The immemorial demon spirit burst forth with painful howls, but Lin Shen's eyes became more and more fanatical and excited. Haha! Awesome, this is 2F * King awesome. Oh my god, this is going to kill me, haha. Lin Shen couldn't help but laugh wildly. The people of the Yin and Yang Palace instantly felt their hair stand on end, and they were dumbfounded. Crazy. He must be crazy. This is an immemorial demon spirit. Why are you so happy? This is 2F * King perverted. This guy is laughing so happily in the anus of the immemorial demon spirit. If he regains his senses later and targets the people of the Yin and Yang Palace, Many male disciples subconsciously covered their anus area. Wah, eldest senior sister, let's go quickly. He's a demon. That's right, eldest senior sister. What if this lunatic targets us later? My butt feels so cold. The group of junior brothers and sisters kept begging Lanroashua. The corners of her mouth, who had always been cold and calm, were twitching slightly at this moment. In that case, we'll retreat. Lanroashua's jade-like finger pointed at the void, and the azure water curtain rolled out like a bunch of waves, taking the group away quickly. Although Lanroashua wasn't an ungrateful person, her junior brothers and sisters were more important right now. In the end, the immemorial demon spirit that couldn't withstand the restraint of the delaying rune fell under Lin Chen's devastation and dropped a bunch of blank attribute points, 3 purple crystal treasure chests, and an orange crystal treasure chest. A 6th grade delaying rune is really powerful. If it was a 5th grade delaying rune, I wouldn't have been able to suppress this big guy for so long with just 10 million points of rune energy. This immemorial demon spirit had the strength comparable to a 3 tribulation battle emperor. If it fought Lin Chen head-on, it would be very difficult for Lin Chen to defeat, even with the help of all his doppelgangers. He might even be injured because of it. However, it chose the most conservative method, which was to encircle and annihilate Lin Chen and the others in an attempt to wear down Lin Chen and the other's strength before swallowing them in one gulp. Who would have thought that Lin Chen would activate the Sovereign's Descent innate skill and use the most crucial attack to reverse the situation? What a pity! If you were a brave and fearless 3 tribulation savage beast, I wouldn't have been able to kill you. However, you're a demon spirit that's good at sneak attacks. You're timid and cautious, which gave me an opportunity to take advantage of. Lin Chen shook his head and laughed. He then took the orange crystal treasure chest, opened 3 purple crystal treasure chests, obtained 15 rune stones, 2,000 strength points, 200,000 talent points, opened an orange crystal treasure chest, obtained Chapter 812, Odd Crystal Fragment. Lin Chen's heart skipped a beat. The orange crystal treasure chest had never disappointed him before. After checking the Xiangang odd crystal fragment, Lin Chen was ecstatic. This odd crystal fragment only had one main attribute, gold energy. The Tianyin odd crystal fragment that Han Yin dropped previously had a Yin attribute and a water attribute. Lin Chen didn't have Yin battle chi in his body, so Lin Chen couldn't absorb it and could only break it down into attribute values. But in fact, absorbing the odd crystal was the best way to maximize its effect. He could absorb this odd crystal fragment. This odd crystal fragment is equivalent to 1/15 of a complete odd crystal and is slightly smaller than Ji Qingming's meteorite fragment. With my physique and cultivation, I can absorb it. Without hesitation, Lin Chen absorbed the Xiangang odd crystal fragment into his body and activated the gold calamity body with all his might. Boom! The violent and sharp odd crystal energy exploded from Lin Chen's body, but it didn't last for more than 2 seconds before it was drowned by the overbearing gold calamity battle chi. It kept melting, assimilating, and absorbing. Host received 100,000 gold energy, 300,000 gold energy, 190,000 gold energy, 220,000 gold energy. Absorbing the odd crystal fragment wasn't an easy task, but Lin Chen's gold calamity body seemed to have the ability to restrain the odd crystal fragment. It melted into his limbs and bones at a visible speed and nourished his meridians. The 9-colored fate will become more dazzling and expanded a few times. The brightest light came from Lin Chen's gold calamity body. A quarter of an hour later, an even more domineering and sharp gold calamity battle chi cut through the void like thousands of sharp blades, causing the air to explode and the airflow to become chaotic. Su Gang and her sister who were watching from the side were shocked. My intermediate gold energy has soared to 69,550,000 points. What insane growth! Lin Chen sucked in a breath of cold air. One fragment increased his intermediate elemental attribute by more than 60 million points. The odd crystal fruit was truly terrifying. If it was a complete odd crystal, how insane would it be? His 9 calamities constellations would certainly become more powerful, and his gold calamity constitution would become the strongest constitution. Congratulations to the host for absorbing the mysterious handle odd crystal fragment and obtaining the mysterious handle energy. It has been integrated into the Gold Calamity Battle Chi and assimilated into the Gold Calamity Mysterious Handle. The system screen popped up, and Lin Shun was overjoyed. Faint Gold Calamity Battle Chi condensed on his fingertips. Compared to before, the current Gold Calamity Battle Chi had a few more substantial fine stripes. Lin Shun swiped his finger lightly, and a golden light flashed. All the branches within a radius of 3,000 feet were sliced into a smooth and round golden surface. This is the Gold Calamity Profound Handle that combines my Gold Calamity Battle physique and the power of the Profound Handle. If I activate the Gold Calamity Profound Handle and combine it with the strength of my body refinement, the toughness of my flesh shell's defense can reach the level of a top-notch 7th grade high-grade defensive artifact. Even if he doesn't use a defensive combat skill, he'll probably only be slightly injured after being hit by a First Tribulation Combat Emperor. Lin Shun was shocked. This wave of Metal Calamity Profound Handle had increased his offensive and defensive capabilities by more than 2 levels. Hey, where are those people? At this time, Lin Shun suddenly realized that the people of the Yin and Yang Palace had long disappeared. Class leader, they were all scared away by you. Su Lan covered her mouth and chuckled. Lin Shun refused to accept it. Impossible. I'm so handsome. How could I scare people? The sisters looked at each other and smiled. The 3 of them continued to move forward. Perhaps because of the call of the ancient demon spirits, the 3 of them didn't find any demon spirits attacking them after moving forward for a day. After a day and a half, the 3 of them walked out of the endless forest. The outside world was bright and beautiful, and the spiritual energy was abundant. In the 4.5 days in the endless forest, Lin Shun had obtained a total of 530,000 blank attribute points. It was an unprecedented abundance. He could strengthen himself without any scruples and increase his overall strength. However, before Lin Shun could open the system to start strengthening, a 5-colored light soared into the sky like a dragon and surrounded the 9 heavens. The mountain range in the distance bloomed. Within the 5-colored light, there was a touch of intense purple that seemed to be full of spiritual charm. Lin Shun's golden eyes twin even felt that a top-notch treasure was descending. Next to the endless forest is the St. Qing mountain range. Su Lan exclaimed. Lin Shun chuckled. Looks like there's another treasure waiting for me. Without saying anything, Lin Shun pulled the 2 girls and flew toward the 5-colored light pillar at an extremely fast speed. St. Qing Mountain Range, Desolate Dragon Ridge. At the peak of the mountain, a 5-colored spiritual barrier was blooming, protecting a giant purple-green tree. The trees were lush and the branches were blooming. 9 purple-green fruits were shining brightly, as if they were about to mature. Near the peak of the mountain, there were hundreds of figures floating in the air. Each of them had a tyrannical aura, hanging high in the sky. None of them were below the 9th level combat emperor. They were all young, peerless geniuses. It's the purple-green path understanding fruit. Oh my god, we've encountered a treasure. Damn, our luck is so bad. We actually encountered 3 people from the genius ranking. What's there to be afraid of? We have more than 100 people. Are we afraid that we won't be able to defeat the 3 of them? Among the 100 people, 3 of them were standing in front of each other. No one dared to come within 100 feet of them. Each of them occupied a corner, as if they were the leaders of the group. The 3 of them had a majestic aura. Their aura was as deep as the sea, as if the stars were shining on the sand, as if the river was flowing and rolling. The strange phenomenon was different. They had a domineering aura and a graceful demeanor. Compared to them, the 100 people beside them were much weaker. If the 100 people were described as fierce tigers and peacocks, Then the three of them were Cheelans and Phoenixes. They were not on the same level at all. The three of them were respectively ranked 99850 on the Genius ranking, Barbarian Emperor Unrivaled, 99894, Azure Sea Foot, Shui Tianso, 99994 Extreme Star Sword, Ji Qingming. There's still 15 minutes before the purple-green Path Understanding fruit ripens. There are a total of 9 fruits. These guys know that they're no match for us, so they'll definitely join forces. What do you two think? Ji Qingming spoke cheerfully and wittily, revealing a sense of confidence, as if he was in control of the situation. Shui Tianso was a man in green robes. He raised his eyebrows and looked at them. He said doubtfully, "Join forces? Forget it. Instead of fighting and causing chaos, why don't we get rid of these troublesome guys first? Let's join forces then. We'll split the purple-green Path Understanding fruits equally. Is that okay?" The stocky Unrivaled carried a meteor hammer and spoke in a muffled voice. Ji Qingming said, "Of course." Shui Tianso said, "No problem." At this moment, the three geniuses had joined forces. Although the geniuses didn't know, they had a tacit understanding. Facing the three geniuses, they could either take advantage of the situation or join forces. Almost 80 geniuses immediately formed a united front. Under normal circumstances, the geniuses on the genius ranking would not join forces so easily. However, the purple-green Path Understanding fruit was not an ordinary heavenly treasure. On the other side of the mountain, Lin Mao poked his head out to observe the situation. When he saw the purple-green Path Understanding fruit, he gasped. "Damn, the purple-green Path Understanding fruit?" Lin Chen had heard of the legend of this item long ago. It was a treasure that even the sages coveted. It was truly something that could only be found once in 100,000 years. It was not an 8th-level heavenly treasure, but it was better than a heavenly treasure. It had only one special effect. After consumption, it could permanently increase a living creature's perception and spirituality. It could also maximize one's perception for a short period of time. It could also improve the combat skills and supernatural powers that the living creature had learned. There was once an extraordinary person who obtained this item. After consuming it, his perception broke through the limit of 3 advanced purple-level combat skills that he had previously mastered. The 3 advanced purple-level combat skills were restored to the top purple-level combat skills. Chapter 8:13. The purplish-green Path Understanding fruit was a treasure that even sages coveted. Its value is too great. There was even a rumor that if someone cultivated a half-orange grade combat technique to the peak, there was a chance to upgrade the combat technique to the orange grade after consuming this fruit. Class Monitor, are you sure you want to fight? There are 3 people from the Genius rankings. Su Lan saw the terrifying lineup and couldn't help but shrink back. There were too many unknowns in a battle of this level. What's there to be afraid of? I'll just steal the purplish-green Path Understanding fruit secretly. I can't fight, not in this lifetime. I can only rely on stealing to maintain my life. Lin Chen chuckled. After absorbing the mysterious gang odd crystal fragment, his strength skyrocketed. In terms of fighting, he wasn't afraid of the 3 genius rankings. But he didn't have the absolute strength to crush the 3 of them. The threat of joining forces wasn't as simple as 1 + 1. His main goal was to ensure that he could get the purplish-green Path Understanding fruit. This thing was something that even sages could only hope for. He couldn't miss this opportunity just to get the attribute light ball from the genius rankings. On the peak of the purplish-green mountain, the 87 mortal prodigies stood side by side. The battle was about to begin. Zhong Yijue, Ji Qingming, Shui Tianso, the 3 of you may be strong, but we're not to be trifled with. That's right. The 3 of you are too greedy to occupy 9 purplish-green Path Understanding fruits. Give up at least 5 of them. The group of prodigies was unruly. They were also born extraordinary. Most of them had never seen the geniuses on the genius rankings, so they were naturally arrogant. Damn it, a bunch of idiots. If you're not convinced, come up. Zong Ijue was so angry that he laughed. He shouted coldly, and his voice was mixed with dragon power. It shook the heavens and the earth. This person's dragon power was over 10 million. Seems like you've underestimated the genius rankings. With a fake smile, Ji Qingming stepped into the air with his sword in hand. Shui Tianso held his 1-foot clear rod tightly. His body was glowing with jade light, and water flooded the golden mountain. Then there's nothing to talk about. Bang! Rumble! The radiance of the heavens and the earth lost its color, and the hurricane came crashing down in a split second. The remnant force of the battle chi exploded like blue waves, shocking the wind and the clouds. The two sides brazenly exchanged blows. This was a chaotic battle. 87 Heavens favorites displayed their best techniques and trump cards. However, to their horror, they couldn't even last one round against the three geniuses. Extreme Stellar Sword. Ji Qingming's Stellar Sword physique and Ao Han's sword arts shone brilliantly, blocking 1,000 soldiers with one sword. Shui Tiansu's 1-foot clear pole raised the blue sea, rolling up 10,000 layers of raging waves, swallowing 1,000 techniques and covering 100 techniques. The barbaric emperor's absolute strength was able to break through all techniques with brute force. Anyone who fought against him would be severely injured in less than 2 moves. Some were even sent flying by a single strike of his hammer and were on the verge of death. The three geniuses were like towering mountains that stood between the heavens and the earth. No matter how the 87 geniuses attacked them, they remained unmoved. At this moment, everyone understood how terrifying the genius rankings were. On the other side, Lin Mao casually opened the Enhance function. Consumed 13 enhancement points, unlimited dark steps plus 1 successful, power increase, 10%. Consumed 259 enhancement points, unlimited dark steps plus 11 successful, power increase, 30%. Consumed 295 enhancement points, unlimited dark steps fail. Consumed 295 enhancement points, unlimited dark steps plus 12 successful, power increase, 30%. Seeing that he still had 18,000 enhancement points, Lin Shun ferociously strengthened unlimited dark steps, and the screen of failed enhancements popped up one after another. Damn it, I don't believe that I can't break it. Lin Shun continued in a spurt of energy. After failing 21 times, the last step had consumed more than 9,000 enhancement points. Consumed 455 enhancement points, unlimited dark steps, plus 13 successful, power increase, 70%. After spending more than 13,000 enhancement points, Lin Shen's first plus 13 had appeared. Movement Battle Technique plus 13 unlimited dark steps. Overall power increase, 240%. This way, my speed will be invincible. Lin Shen was exhilarated. With the plus 12 mental cultivation technique as a foundation, all of his battle techniques have been upgraded by a few levels. Now that infinite dark steps have been enhanced by 2.5 times, and with his ultimate moment talent activated, Lin Shen's speed would reach an unprecedented level. Class Monitor, they've decided the winner. The three geniuses on the Prodigy ranking have won. Sulan shook Lin Shen's shoulder, just as she finished speaking. Boom! At the peak of the mountain, the purple-green ancient tree bloomed, and its light filled the sky. The purple-green Path Understanding fruit had ripened. The ripened purple-green Path Understanding fruit had to be harvested within 15 minutes of ripening, or else its spiritual essence would dissipate. This was why it was so precious, and it had to be harvested at the most suitable time. Don't worry, the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Behind the oriole is the hunter, and behind the hunter is me, Lin Shun. Lin Shun wasn't in a hurry. He chuckled. As expected, as soon as Lin Shun finished speaking, 3 silhouettes instantly shot towards the cliff like refracted bolts of lightning. Their speed was extremely fast. You're asking for it. Zong Ijue roared, and with a heaven-shaking hammer, he smashed down with his 20-foot battle aura light hammer, severely injuring one of them and shattering his battle aura. Let's go back. Shui Tianso quickly waved his 1-foot clear rod, and 4 water dragons shot out from the ground. The other two's expressions changed slightly, and they changed their hand seals. Their speed suddenly increased, and their chi and blood surged out of their bodies. Blood flames ignited around their bodies, and they barely dodged the 4 water dragons. It's useless. I knew you guys would have a backup plan. Shui Tianso smiled like an innocent child. The two had just dodged when a huge wave of battle aura came crashing toward them. They cried out in surprise. This is the prodigy ranking. I'm impressed. Bang! The enormous wave overturned the heavens and toppled over, injuring the two of them and forcing them to retreat like a rolling wave. At this moment, Lin Shun, who was hiding behind the giant rock, was shrouded in dark calamity battle aura. He activated the Connate shadow art and turned into a dark shadow, disappearing into the void. Suddenly, Ji Qingming, who had been keeping his sword eye open, looked at the peak of the mountain and shouted, "Oh no, someone has snuck in." He turned into a streak of sword light, and the profound ice sword in his hand slashed horizontally, rolling out a streak of ice flower sword chi, glittering with starlight, slashing towards a certain direction in the void. The two geniuses followed closely behind. The sword light rippled, and an afterimage appeared in the void. "It's Yin Jinghong. You're Yin Jinghong?" Shui Tianso cried out in surprise. His 1-foot-long pole swept out in a half-moon arc, and a strange wave of battle aura was transmitted through the void. Waves splashed on the ground beside the purple-green ancient tree, and a water column shot up. The battle aura water column spread, and a figure stepped back, revealing his true form. His eyebrows were raised, and his face was fair. There was a sneaky smile on his face, and he looked like a burglar who specialized in stealing things by climbing over walls. The 99,811th on the prodigy ranking, Yin Jinghong? Damn it, damn thief. Take my hammer. Zhong Yijua didn't say anything and swung his hammer. His dragon power exploded, and killing intent shot out in all directions. Yin Jinghong used his movement technique and dodged silently. The hammer landed on the peak of the purple-green mountain, shaking the mountain. Shui Tianso and Ji Qingming immediately followed up and attacked furiously. Many attacks bombarded Yin Jinghong. Who would have thought that this guy would be hiding among the crowd of sky prides just now, waiting for an opportunity to strike at this moment? He had almost succeeded. No matter how good Yin Jinghong's movement technique was, under the siege of the 3 prodigies, he was in a sorry state. The momentum of 3 prodigies on the prodigy ranking against 1 intimidated those who wanted to take advantage of the situation. The 4 prodigies had shown their true abilities. If they approached recklessly, they might be killed by the aftershocks. Hey, if you guys keep attacking me, someone will steal that thing. Suddenly, Yin Jinghong, who was surrounded, shouted anxiously. The 3 prodigies sneered. F*CKU, trying to trick us? The moment the 3 prodigies focused on Yin Jinghong, the 9 purple-green path understanding fruits were swept away by a black shadow. There's an orange crystal treasure chest. The person in the black shadow exclaimed. He grabbed the purple-green ancient tree and retreated in an instant. Then, the handsome guy hiding in the black shadow sent a secret message to Yin Jinghong and laughed slyly. "Young Master Yin, you're so good. You're so good. You're such a big idiot." Chapter 814. What the F*CK? I'm telling the truth. F*CKU, you bunch of idiots. Yin Jinghong's footsteps were like a shocking shadow as he dodged the attacks of the 3 in a sorry state. He cursed loudly in exasperation. Do you really think I'm that easy to fool? Zhong Yijua spat and smashed down with his meteor hammer. No, the purplish-green path understanding fruits were really stolen. Shui Tianso glanced at the purplish-green ancient tree behind him, and his expression changed. Ji Qingming's face turned pale. There was someone else? Even Yin Jinghong's camouflage couldn't hide from his sword eye. Who could have stolen the purplish-green path understanding fruits? If you want to use me, you have to show yourself. The moment the three of them stopped attacking, Yin Jinghong made a move. The golden dagger in his hand suddenly slashed through the void, drawing a golden aura that cut through the universe. With a bang, it hit a dark shadow in the void 3,000 feet away. The three geniuses focused and saw a young figure emerge from the dark shadow. It was Lin Shun. What the F***, it's you, Lin Shun. Ji Qingming cursed in anger. It was this brat who stole the purplish-green path understanding fruits. Was he still holding back from the battle that day? Why was his concealment technique so strange? Interesting. The genius on the genius ranking is indeed something. You even saw through my innate shadow spell. Lin Chen locked his gaze on Yin Jinghong. Yin Jinghong said seriously, "Your concealment technique is indeed brilliant. If you didn't reveal some of your aura when you took the purplish-green path understanding fruits, I wouldn't have noticed your tracks. Give me your concealment technique and the purplish-green path understanding fruits. I will leave immediately and not interfere with your business. How about it? With your concealment technique, no one other than me can see through you. Without my interference, you can easily escape from the three of them. How about it?" Yin Jinghong secretly transmitted his voice. He wanted to negotiate with Lin Shun. He believed that only he, who was also proficient in assassination and concealment, could see through Lin Shun. Only he had the chips to negotiate with Lin Shun. Ha ha ha. You want to negotiate with me? You've lost your mind. Lin Shun couldn't help but laugh. The three geniuses were shocked, but after a while, they reacted and looked at Yin Jinghong cautiously. Yin Jinghong was enraged, and he sneered. "You refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Today, with the four geniuses on the genius ranking joining hands, you won't be able to escape even if you have wings." Mr. Lin clicked his tongue in wonder. "You guys are really kind people. Not only did you help me deal with those dozens of prodigies, but you also helped me catch this thief. As for you guys, I like to give them the Best Employee Award as a reward." After saying this, Lin Shin actually took out 3 silk banners. Zong Ijue, Motherf Asterisk Kerr, Ji Qingming, WDNMD, Shui Tianso, Yin Jinghong, kill him. In a split second, the 4 great geniuses launched a joint attack on Lin Shun. Chi. In one exchange, Ji Qingming activated the meteorite odd crystal fragment and waved the sword in his hand, creating 3 starlight sword shadows. He used his true strength right from the start. He was very clear about Lin Chen's strength, and this person was only a step away from the genius ranking. Demon vanquishing hammer. Flood dragon overturning the sea. 10 shadow slashes. The hammer light suppressed the sky. The flood dragon controlled the sea, and the slashes were like knives in the air. This terrifying attack was launched from all directions from Lin Shun. That aura shocked all the prodigies present, and those who participated in the encirclement and those who didn't were all shocked. This attack was on a completely different level from the one just now. This was the true strength of the genius ranking. Young people nowadays really can't take a joke. Can't take it? Lin Shun smiled mysteriously and activated the ultimate moment. Rip. Bang. Infinite dark steps. Lin Shin's entire body was surging with dark calamity battle aura as he stepped on the dark shadow vortex. His figure was like an afterimage that was pulled and disappeared in a split second. It was impossible to capture his movement trajectory. All the attacks were concentrated in one place and exploded into a storm. I will bestow upon you the Best Employee of the Year. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. As soon as he finished speaking, 3 silk banners shot down from the sky. As there was no murderous intent, it didn't attract the attention of the 3 prodigies, and the silk banners were immediately hung around their necks. When the prodigies saw it clearly, they sucked in a breath of cold air. The words best employee of the best employee were written on the silk banners. Oh my God, what kind of deity is this guy? He actually fooled the four prodigies. I can't sense his movement technique at all. What a perverted speed. Too strong. I have never seen a 9th level combat emperor with such a fast movement technique before. Is this a mid-grade purple tier? Or a high-grade purple tier? Or perhaps a legendary supreme grade movement technique? Even the four prodigies were dumbfounded. What? The four prodigies were shocked. What kind of movement technique was this? It was King ridiculously fast. I don't believe in this. Zhong Yijue took the lead and swung his meteor hammer at extreme speed once again. The dragon force burst forth, and the stronger the force, the faster the speed. Countless shadows of the hammer bloomed like flowers on a screen, pushing forward layer by layer, trying to crush all of Lin Chen's afterimages. The four prodigies launched a frenzied attack once again, shattering every single one of Lin Chen's afterimages. However, after shattering one, a new one was born, endless and dazzling. In the end, there were more than 10 afterimages in the air, and all of them were Lin Chen. That's right, there were more than 10 afterimages. Some of them were waving their hands, some were shaking their butts, some were clapping their hands, some were swaying their bodies, and some were shaking their heads with their eyes closed. They were actually dancing. If I were DJ, would you love me? Would you love me? Would you love me? Lin Yiqian's face flashed in front of Ji Qingming with a coquettish smile. He was so angry that his veins were bulging, and starlight shot out in all directions. His sword technique was like a tidal wave, slicing his body into pieces time and time again. All of them were afterimages. Those injured prodigies who had participated in the encirclement of the three prodigies were so shocked that their eyeballs almost fell to the ground. Is he still human? He's a prodigy on the prodigy roll that we couldn't even last 2 moves against. All the prodigies were so angry that they almost vomited blood. He was actually able to sing and dance so skillfully while being surrounded by 4 prodigies. God, he was definitely a god on earth. This was a genuine suppression of movement techniques without any pressure. Under the 4 prodigies' all-out attacks, extremely high-quality attribute light balls dropped one after another. While Lin Chen was dodging many attacks, he was even able to collect a bunch of attribute light balls. Received 39 strengthening points, 120,000 talent points, 150,000 rune energy, 80,000 heavenly Tao points, 90 million blood energy, 10,000 metal energy, 30,000 water energy. The prodigies on the prodigy roll are really full of treasures. D*MN, I have to find a chance to kill these guys. I heard that this Ji Qingming is coveting Sister Yueqi. I'll beat him up. Rip. Lin Chen's movement techniques changed from dodging to taking the initiative to attack. With a boom, he broke through the layers of encirclement. The dragon power in his entire body exploded, and his 9 tribulations battle aura circulated. The metal calamity mystic handle covered both his legs. He raised one leg high above his head and chopped down heavily like a battle axe. 7 ultimate force, 5 forces in 1. Lin Chen's sudden attack was out of Ji Qingming's expectations. Chapter 815. Facing the sudden sneak attack from Lin Chen, Ji Qingming clenched his teeth and raised his sword to block. Golden light surrounded the sword and exploded into the air. Lin Chen's pure strength transformed into 5 different types of force: cut, tear, pull, twist, and penetrate. 5 different methods penetrated Ji Qingming's body, causing the ghost face flag on his back to shine brightly. Bang! Boom! Ji Qingming was pushed back by the kick. Attribute light balls and 2 purple crystal treasure chests rolled down his body. Ji Qingming's mouth was bleeding, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. How could his battle chi be so sharp and domineering? It was a few levels stronger than the last time. Lin Chen collected the attribute light balls that rolled down. Most of them were strengthening points, and he instantly obtained 5,000 strengthening points and 10 rune evolution stones. Once Lin Chen attacked, it meant that there was a chance that he would reveal an opening. Yin Jinghong immediately caught it and slashed at Lin Chen's back with his short blade. At the critical moment, Lin Chen's metal calamity mysterious handle covered his entire body. With a thought, he activated the 3-inch calamity, forming 3 layers of colorful crystal energy to block the attack. Puff! Chi! The 3-inch calamity was cut apart, and Lin Chen was sent flying 1,000 meters away. Lin Chen's blood was boiling, and a deep scar was left on his golden prison flying dragon armor. You took my attack head-on, and you're fine? What the hell? Yin Jinghong's mouth twitched. He had attacked with killing intent just now, and even a First Tribulation Combat Emperor wouldn't dare to take it head-on. How could this kid be fine? Shui Tianso and Zhong Yijue attacked again. Lin Chen used infinite silent steps at full speed and dodged all the attacks. Haha! Ji Qingming, I'll take your life next time. Lin Chen's arrogant laughter made Ji Qingming feel a deep sense of fear. This person was no longer the same as before. Just his movement technique alone was enough to make Ji Qingming feel fear. Trying to escape? 10,000 space-borrowing talisman. Yin Jinghong was so angry that he laughed instead. His left hand shot out a talisman. The talisman exploded and actually caused the entire void to freeze. Lin Chen's movement technique was hindered and slowed down by a few notches. The 10,000 method space teleportation talisman was one of his life-saving trump cards. He had no choice but to use it here. The purple-green path understanding fruit was too important. Even if he sold on the market, it would sell for double digits of Saint Origin coins. He had to get it. Oh, interesting. It's actually a bit like my slow rune. Lin Chen wasn't surprised. Instead, he clicked his tongue in wonder. The methods of these people on the genius rankings were each richer than the last. Let's see how you're going to escape now. Yin Jinghong, who had always been shifty-eyed, appeared sinister and crazy at this moment. Just as he was about to unleash his killing technique and pounce towards Lin Chen. System, activate hyperdimensional teleportation. Activating super-dimensional teleportation, consuming 35 million talent points to teleport the host to space number 1. A spatial beam broke open above Lin Chen's head. The candlelight spun, and his figure suddenly disappeared. What? The 4 geniuses were stunned. Could his movement technique be any faster? No, that's not right. This guy jumped through space and escaped. Shui Tianso was dumbfounded and said with difficulty, "Impossible. Could he tear the space of the sacred boundary? Apart from the sages, no one can tear the void and move forward." Yin Jinghong roared hysterically. He looked around, but there wasn't even a shadow of a ghost. Over 100 geniuses stood outside the purple-green mountain in a daze. Their mouths were wide open. 1 against 4 geniuses on the genius rankings. Not only did he toy with them, but he also escaped unscathed. He even injured one of them. Looking at the 3 geniuses who still had the banner of ultimate wage worker hanging around their necks, someone gasped, "Is this guy still human? Here, this is for you." Everyone has a share. In the sky above the plane, Lin Chen tossed 2 purple-green path understanding fruits to the 2 sisters, 1 for each. "Thank you, class monitor." Su Lan smiled sweetly, and Su Gang nodded seriously, remembering this kindness in her heart. Just 1 purplish-green path understanding fruit could change a warrior's life. Lin Chen still had 7 in his hands. They were valuable and had endless uses. Now I'd like to see how awesome this thing is. Everyone is exaggerating about it. Lin Chen was about to eat a purple-green path understanding fruit. The 2 girls were about to stop him. With a boom, the other side of the St. Qing mountain lit up with a myriad of colors. More treasures are coming? Damn it, I really can't stop walking. Ha, let's go. Lin Chen leaped into the air, and the 2 girls followed closely behind. At the same time, Lin Chen could feel a primordial aura gradually awakening in his body. It was like a primordial overlord. Lin Shan still had lingering fears. When my Dragon Emperor comes out of seclusion, how powerful will he be? Lin Shan was secretly shocked. He was secretly looking forward to it. South of the St. Qing mountain range, Sunset Valley. Hundreds and thousands of streaks of light cut through the clouds. Countless tokens were floating in the air, shooting in all directions. It was as if they had just shot out from the underground world below. Ha ha ha, I got a sect token. This sect's inheritance is mine. A prodigy laughed heartily as he snatched a jade token. Countless people looked at him enviously, but no one dared to be careless. They used their movement techniques to snatch the sect tokens that were shooting out from the sky. Most of these tokens came from first-grade sects that had fallen. If one obtained a sect token, they would be able to obtain part of the inheritance left behind by the sect. Of course, these inheritances were not attractive to the prodigies on the genius roll. They did not have the heart to search for them. Thus, the Sunset Valley was a carnival for the ordinary prodigies. As soon as Lin Shan arrived, a black light shot towards him from a void. What's this? Lin Shan subconsciously grabbed it. It was a pitch-black command token that was flamboyant, and two awe-inspiring words were carved on it. Black Dragon. Second-grade sect. Black Dragon token. Lin Shan was curious. Sulan came over and said in surprise, "It's a sect token. With it, you can establish a sect. You can also obtain part of the inheritance left behind by the sect. That guy has obtained an extremely high-quality sect token. Snatch it from him." A few sharp-eyed 8th-stage combat emperor prodigies rushed towards Lin Shan when they saw him holding the token. These people have lost their minds. Lin Shan slapped them with his palm. The pure strength of his 5 fingers was like a ferocious dragon breaking through the sky. Just one hit was enough to make them vomit blood. Damn, this is a body-tempering emperor. Run. Why is there such a ferocious guy snatching the sect token? Too ferocious. Who is this guy? A group of 8th-stage prodigies vomited blood and retreated. Their eyes were filled with shock. This guy looked so weak. How could he be so strong when he attacked? These sect tokens have a high probability of choosing their owners. You have been chosen. Sulan covered her mouth and chuckled. Lin Shan, who was holding the sect token, suddenly realized a problem. In the sacred boundary, every top-notch prodigy was supported by a major force or sect. There was almost no top-notch prodigy who stood up on their own. Even if they were extremely talented, they still needed the support of a sect. Why? Because this was a very serious problem. Most of the resources were controlled and monopolized. Chapter 816. The history of the sacred boundary was countless times richer than that of the 9 provinces, but the hierarchy it had evolved was much crueler and harsher than that of the 9 provinces. All the secret realms, regions, danger zones, and treasure lands that produced high-quality cultivation resources were all occupied by high-grade sects. Only the great sects had the qualifications to enter and explore these areas. Even if some newly discovered secret realms or treasure lands were not conquered or controlled by the sects, they would unite with other sects of the same level to take them. As for those who did not belong to any sects, they could not even drink the soup. This was because they did not have strength or influence. Why was it harder and harder for those without influence to start from scratch? This was because resources would only circulate within a certain powerful circle. If one did not step into this circle, they would not even have the qualifications to risk their lives in this circle. To give a clear example, in this trial, if Lin Shan had not benefited from Ice Heart Palace, he would not have had the qualifications to enter Tsang Yu's secret realm. To put it simply, he did not even have the qualifications to enter Tsang Yu's secret realm to die. Because he did not have the support of a sect, he did not have the permission to enter Tsang Yu's secret realm, let alone explore the endless opportunities here. Reality was this cruel. Why were there billions of geniuses in the sacred boundary, and almost 99% of the top 100,000 geniuses in the genius ranking had the support of a great sect or sect? No matter how heaven-defying a person's talent was, they still needed the support of resources and a path to walk. Compared to an entire sect, an individual would be very insignificant. This was the hierarchy that had evolved in the sacred boundary after countless epochs. No one had the ability to change or break this rule. Even if Lin Chun had the Heavenly Way possession system, if he did not join a sect. In the future, he would not have the qualifications to enter any powerful or resource-rich secret realms with many opportunities. Without cultivation resources, he would have no path to walk. He could either become an outlaw or do some dangerous missions to earn resources. However, Lin Chun did not want to join a sect. Perhaps there was only one path in front of him. Create his own sect. I have the clear jade tree seed. If it can be nurtured to maturity, I won't lack cultivation resources for the time being. But what if I reach the saint realm in the future? Or even higher? A plan of providence might not be able to support my development. If I don't want to join a sect, I'm afraid I'll have to create my own. Lin Chun made up his mind. He dripped his blood on the black dragon token to bind it to him, giving it a brand new look. Lin Chun had a feeling that this token was connected to his soul. It even recorded the coordinates of a certain space. It was an inheritance left behind by this sect when they were alive. My sect is only for freedom. We don't recruit anyone. Since we want to be unique, we will follow through to the end. We will call you the Black Horse Club. TSK. The new lines were outlined, and the pitch black token revealed brand new words. Its name was Black Horse Club. The Sioux sisters looked at each other curiously. This name was indeed unique in the sacred boundary. Oh yeah, I picked up a brand new orange crystal treasure chest when I was snatching the purplish-green path understanding fruit. I didn't have time to see what kind of treasure it was. Lin Chun opened the system, and a screen appeared. Orange crystal treasure chest opened. Obtained 8 sets of 1,000 illusions human skin masks. This mask has an ever-changing illusion. It can disguise one's face and aura. Sage stage cultivators cannot see through it. Lin Chun's eyes lit up. This was good stuff. Boom! At this moment, an earth-shattering collision of energy came from the underground world directly below Luotian Mountain Valley. Such a scene shocked all the prodigies and made them retreat in horror. Or are they fighting? Those prodigies down there. Damn it, I can't stay here for long. If I can't get the sect token soon, I'll have to leave. Who knows what will happen down there? Many prodigies wiped off their cold sweat. Lin Chun activated his golden eyes twin and stared at the deep, dark underground world in the valley. This is... Lin Chun's eyes trembled, just as he saw something, for extremely powerful auras appeared in the sky. They were 4 prodigies on the prodigy roll. They were Ji Qingming, Shui Tianso, and Yin Jinghong. The 4 of them sensed the strange phenomenon here and quickly rushed over. In the underground world of Luotian Mountain Valley, there was a blood-red forest of rocks. The terrain was extremely vast and stretched for nearly 100 miles. A large number of people gathered here. In the center of the underground was a blood-red, crystal, jade-like ancient altar. It had an aura of vicissitudes and was like a crouching dragon. On the ancient altar, countless pure energy condensed into substance. It was like a blood-red jade, like a volcano, with blazing flames, like lava flowing in hell, and like the pulsating veins of ancient beasts. 2 thumb-sized, odd crystal fragments floated above the ancient altar. The 2 odd crystal fragments were dark red and orange red. Light rays surged, and the pulse light was dazzling. It flowed with an aura that made one's heart palpitate. This was equivalent to 1/10 of a complete, odd crystal fragment. It was even larger than the mysterious shield, odd crystal fragment that Lin Chun obtained from the attribute treasure chest. But at this moment, the 2 odd crystal fragments were still absorbing the energy below the ancient altar. Its power was increasing, and the prodigy's eyes were blazing. But if one took a closer look, the people gathered around the ancient altar felt their scalps go numb. Several prodigies on the prodigy roll had gathered, and the scene was rather magnificent. Senior sister, are we really going to fight? Two female disciples worriedly asked the beautiful lady in red who had a sword around her waist. She was valiant and resolute, like a sonorous rose that bloomed on the battlefield. She nodded without changing her expression. Of course, these two odd crystal fragments are no small matter, and they are about to appear. Our Red Moon Battle Sect has no reason to retreat without a fight. Prodigy roll 99801. Red Moon Rose Su-Ching. In the west, a youth in linen clothes hugged an ancient sword with a wine flask hanging on his waist. He leaned against the wall and closed his eyes as if he was resting. Prodigy roll 99785. Breeze of the Nine States Drunken Sword. In the stone corner of the underground world, the young man was dressed in white. He had a dignified appearance and a murderous aura. In the solemn atmosphere, he still had the mood to play chess with his junior brother. He had an extraordinary bearing. Prodigy roll 99770. Ghost Calculator Mo Ching Calculator. A seductive young master with fair skin and embroidered with cherry blossoms in his scarlet clothes raised his orchid fingers and chuckled as he teased the snow-white kitten in his arms. His eyes revealed some evil intent from time to time. Prodigy roll 99890. Scarlet young master In Qingyan. He was sitting alone in the southern corner. He was handsome and devilish, and there was a bloodthirsty smile on his lips. However, his face was a little pale. Prodigy roll 99990. Evil Bone Demon Scythe Gu Tian Xie. The last person stood alone. She was elegant and noble with a full figure. Her beautiful eyes were like ice flowers spinning, and her temperament was like a fresh snow lotus on an ice mountain. Prodigy roll 99911. Ice Pupil on Ruashue. Countless prodigies looked around with fear, admiration, excitement, and excitement. This was simply a historical scene. What a spectacular scene this was. There were actually 6 prodigies on the prodigy roll at the same time in the same place. Ha ha! How could I miss out on such a good thing? His laughter was like thunder and shook the void. A figure fell from the sky like a meteor. Barbarian Emperor Zhong Yijue grinned, and his battle intense sword. Following closely behind Zhong Yijue were Ji Qingming, Shui Tianso, and Yin Jinghong. All the prodigies in the underground world sucked in a breath of cold air. The top 10 prodigies gathered. An unprecedented chaotic battle was about to erupt. Chapter 817. The Blue Moon Trial was only one of the secret realms that some of the Rank 2 and Rank 3 sects participated in. For such a secret realm, not to mention the 36 domains, not to mention the 36 mystic realms outside the 36 mystic realms, there would be no less than 100 mystic realms opened every year in the mystic realm, not to mention the mystic realms opened by 4th grade sects and above. It was a once-in-a-century opportunity for the top 10 prodigies to gather together. Seeing Zhong Yijue, Ji Qingming, Shui Tianso, and Yin Jinghong enter the underground world, some prodigies frowned, some looked relaxed, and some looked solemn and vigilant. It's senior brother Ji Qingming. He's finally here. Oh my God. Senior brother is finally here. I was scared to death. I thought we were going to compete with these monsters for these treasures. The 30 Ice Heart Palace true disciples who entered the underground world earlier couldn't help but shout Ji Qingming's name. At this moment, there were already 6 second grade and 3rd grade sects gathered here. There were as many as 10 prodigies on the genius ranking. See, senior brother, you're injured? A sharp-eyed Ice Heart Palace purple grade true disciple exclaimed in surprise, causing the other true disciples to look over in amazement. Senior brother G was actually injured with his strength on the genius ranking? How is this possible? Even if he encountered a prodigy on the genius ranking, unless there was a huge difference in ranking, he would have no problem escaping unscathed. It's just a minor injury caused by a small accident. It's not a big deal. Ji Qingming snorted and didn't want to be entangled in this topic. If his true disciples knew that he was injured by Lin Shun, Wouldn't it be embarrassing? Looking at the odd crystal fragments on the blood-red ancient altar, Ji Qingming's eyes flashed with fanaticism. This was even bigger than the meteorite fragment he refined. When we fight later, use the icy heart arrogant cold technique. In terms of overall strength, we're the best here. As long as I get an odd crystal fragment, I'll reward each of you with 600 Silver Saint Origin coins. Ji Qingming's offer made all the purple rank true disciples excited. It was equivalent to a month's monthly allowance. With his ability as a top appraiser, no one doubted his financial ability. Brother Gu, it's really you. When Ji Qingming saw Gu Tianxia on the side, he immediately went wild with joy. Oh, your eldest uncle's personal disciple, Ji Qingming? Gu Tianxia was stunned before revealing a faint smile. Before he entered the Azure Moon's secret realm, he had received a secret order to work together with Ji Qingming to eliminate a scourge. Brother Gu, are you injured? Ji Qingming walked over enthusiastically, but was suddenly shocked. He hurriedly took out 2 bottles of medicinal pills. The other party did not stand on ceremony and took them with a sinister smile. I met a strange little demon in the endless forest and was successfully ambushed by him. I suffered some minor injuries. If I meet him again, I will definitely kill him. No problem. When the time comes, you and I will work together and help each other get rid of the target. Ji Qingming and Gu Tianxia hit it off, but the two of them did not know that the one who had injured them was the same person. Their target was the same person, Lin Shun. Let's work together and get the odd crystal fragments here. There's still some time before the altar's energy shield dissipates. Brother Gu, you should heal your injuries first. I'll protect you. Senior Brother Mo, are we really going to fight with these monsters? We are the ones who are the worst at fighting. The 2 junior brothers pulled a long face and bitterly smiled as they looked at ghost fortune teller Mo Qing, who was playing chess. Don't worry, we don't fight with force, we only use our wits. I have already deduced that these 2 items are fated with us. Mo Qingming spoke cheerfully, revealing the confidence and boldness of being in control of the entire situation. He would occasionally glance at the red moon, Rose Su Qing, with a look of longing and love. Drunken Sword only raised his head to look at the 4 geniuses before closing his eyes to rest and falling asleep. Scarlet Flower Young Master gave a seductive chuckle and pointed at Mo Qingming with a charming smile. Young Master Mo Qingming, don't you plan to work together with this servant? If we work together, it will be a flawless combination. Mo Qingming's junior brother shuddered. It was rumored that Scarlet Flower Young Master loved the chrysanthemum sacred land. This invitation made it seem like he was inviting their senior brothers to explore the sacred land together. Scarlet Flower Young Master must be joking. Your Scarlet Flower scripture has been cultivated to the peak, and Qingming is just a matter of a few moves in front of you. Your ranking isn't that simple, right? You might be able to snatch the odd crystal fragments by yourself. Mo Qing sipped her tea and smiled, nodding. Don't, I just want to work together with you. Scarlet Flower Young Master acted coquettishly, and many people had goosebumps. Mo Qingming smiled and didn't say anything. Shui Tianso, who was standing in the corner, slowly walked to Lan Ruoxue and spoke as if his words were gold. Bing Tong, work together? Lan Ruoxue frowned. At this point, no one was a fool. The geniuses on the genius list were all ranked in the 99,000, and no one had the ability to control the situation. Working together was the only way to gain something. These 2 odd crystal fragments could be auctioned for at least 100 gold St. Yuan coins in the outside world. The value was extremely high, and no one was willing to let it go. Shi and Shui Tianso were ice and water respectively. If they worked together in battle, it would far surpass the other geniuses. All right, if there's anything, we'll split it equally. Lan Ruoxue nodded and didn't hesitate. Shui Tianso, no problem. The 10 geniuses each had their own thoughts, and the atmosphere was extremely oppressive. Time ticked by, and the blood-red ancient altar's energy barrier was about to dissipate. Crack! A stone suddenly broke, and the atmosphere in the entire underground world exploded. In an instant, swords were drawn and bows were drawn, as if a fight was about to break out. Zue Ejian's eyes were drowsy as he drank from his pot and held his sword in his right hand. Zhong Ijua laughed arrogantly as the veins on his arm squirmed like dragons. He was ready to unleash his meteor hammer at any moment. Su Qing held the crimson moon scimitar tightly in her hand. She was valiant and cold like a sonorous rose. Shui Tianso held the 1-foot clear pole, and Lan Roashua stood on the left and right respectively. The ice and water battle auras surged like huge waves. Yin Xingyun chuckled as the white cat in her arms flickered with a violent light. Ji Qingming's entire body flickered with starlight as he suddenly drew his sword. A bone whip appeared on Gu Tianxia's spine and wrapped around it. It was strange and eerie, like a dragon hissing. Mo Qing was still playing chess. Yin Jinghong, who was hiding in the dark, grinned. Fight. The more intense the fight, the easier it is for me to fish in troubled waters. The odd crystal fragments are mine. All the prodigies held their breaths. The battle between the 10 geniuses was a battle that was hard to come by in one's lifetime. 20 breaths before the ancient altar's energy barrier was about to dissipate, a clear and bright voice rang out, shaking the sky and reverberating throughout the entire underground world. A dark horse appears, attacking from the back. A battle between dark horses. Life and death are insignificant. The Black Horse Club's deputy director has arrived. Everyone was stunned. What was this? The Black Horse Club? There was such a sect in the sacred boundary. Attacking from the back. It was definitely not a decent sect. Everyone raised their heads and focused their gazes. 6 tall and handsome figures stepped through the air and arrived. The leading silver-robed youth's lips curled into a devilish smile. His smile was thunderous. Ha ha, it seems like I came at the right time. Chapter 8:18. When the atmosphere reached its climax, almost all the geniuses on the Prodigy ranking were ready to make a move. However, the Black Horse Club appeared and shocked everyone. On the left was a black-robed young man. His face was as cold as a knife. He carried a 5-color dragon spear on his back. His waist was as straight as a spear. His eyes were deep and mysterious, and there was a hint of sharpness in them. It was as if the sharpness of a peerless treasure sword was hidden in its scabbard. The second person on the left was wearing a fluttering green robe. His long hair was draped over his shoulders. He was handsome and elegant. The meridian sword on his waist flashed with green light. He had a charming smile on his face. His smile and nod revealed an extraordinary charm. Many female geniuses in the underground world were attracted to him. The person on the right was wearing a black coat. His facial features were handsome, but his face was slightly pale. His aura was extremely cold. He had a saber on his waist, and his hand was still on the saber. He was like an assassin who had killed his way through a bloody storm. His pair of sharp and unique eyes flashed with a cold light. No one dared to look directly into his eyes. The second person on the right was wearing a purple robe. He carried a green bow on his back. His face was like jade. He held a white paper fan in his hand. His face always had a smile that made people feel like they were bathing in the spring breeze. His eyes were as clear as jade. They were like green willows in the spring breeze. He was gentle and elegant, like a delicate and pretty scholar. The young man standing behind him was even more mysterious. His robe was as white as snow. His temperament was cold. His pair of purple gold eyes slowly rotated. He was like an emotionless assassin standing behind his master. Those who were swept by his purple gold eyes felt a bone-piercing coldness. It was as if all their secrets had been seen through. It made their hair stand on end. As for Lin Shun, he was dressed in a silver robe as he stepped through the air. The corners of his mouth hung a frivolous and evil smile. The 5 people around him were like stars surrounding the moon, setting off his existence. It was as if an overlord had personally arrived. The confidence he exuded as he talked and laughed had actually stunned the 10 geniuses present. It's him. Ice pupil, Lan Ruashue was stunned. Damn, it's actually that brat. Kill. I will definitely kill him. Gu Tianxie roared in his heart. His killing intent was awe-inspiring. Lin Chun, how did he become the deputy director of the Black Horse Club? Isn't he a savage from the mortal world? Ji Qingming's face was filled with confusion. It's him. That dog that wasted my life-saving talisman still dares to come here and fight for the odd crystal fragments. Change targets, assassinate him first, and then take the odd crystal fragments. Yin Jinghong roared from the bottom of his heart. If it weren't for Lin Chun, he might have already gotten a few purplish-green path understanding fruits. Lin Chun landed in front of the blood-colored ancient altar. The moment the altar's energy shield dissipated, he suddenly stepped onto the ancient altar. Boom! Lin Chun's first step caused the winds and clouds to suddenly change. The auras of the 10 great geniuses were instantly aimed at him. Is this fellow not afraid of death? He actually dares to be the first to step onto the ancient altar? Crazy. He will instantly become the target of public criticism. The top 10 geniuses will definitely target him first. All the Sky Pride's eyebrows twitched wildly. This guy was simply not afraid of death. Lin Chun casually took the second step. Boom. TSK. A rainbow-like sword aura suddenly slashed out. It was clear Win 9 states, drunken swords move. A dark calamity vortex opened up. The sword aura flashed, and the aura was like the bright moon, piercing through the sky. Clang! Boom! The sword and saber clashed, and two figures collided in the void. Everyone focused and saw that it was the black-clothed swordsman from the Black Horse Club. Oh, the sleepy drunken sword finally had some fighting spirit. His eyes lit up, and his swordsmanship changed again. His sword pierced through the wind, and 8 sword scars shot out like dragons. The black-clothed swordsman's mid-9th level battle, Qi cultivation, was revealed. His sword aura burst out like a tide, and rays of mirror-like sword aura slashed out. When the 8 sword scars were easily destroyed, a moonlight slashed back at Drunken's sword. Drunken's sword flipped the clear wind 9 heaven sword in his hand and slashed vertically, cutting off the moonlight. He was actually evenly matched with Drunken's sword? Ha, come on. Drunken sword's fighting spirit sword, and he used all kinds of swordsmanship one after another. Many geniuses sucked in a breath of cold air. He actually blocked Drunken's sword? That was a genius on the genius rankings. Could this Black Horse Club also be a second-grade sect? How could it nurture a genius on the genius rankings? The autumn wind today is slightly chilly, and it's suitable for drinking tea. What tea should I brew today? Lin Fan smiled and muttered to himself. He raised his leg and took the 3rd step up the stairs of the ancient altar. Rumble. The aura surged like a tsunami, and the crimson flowers fell and the roses were extinguished. 2 more geniuses on the genius rankings attacked. It was Red Moon Rose, Su Qing. Scarlet Gongzi, Yin Qingyun. Su Qing raised her sword and charged over. The white spirit cat under Yin Qingyun's legs was like a dragon emerging from the sea, and it attacked step by step. Slash! The dark calamity vortex flashed extremely quickly, and the meridian sword aura slashed toward the crimson moon sword aura. The sword aura pierced through and hit Scarlet Gongzi's 3 traces of the cat head-on. 2 mushroom clouds exploded from both sides. The geniuses of the various sects stared so hard that their eyeballs almost fell to the ground. 2 geniuses were blocked again. It was the Black Horse Club's purple-clothed youth and green-robed young master, one with a bow and one with a sword. Coiling dragon strangle. Void slash, meteor fall. The bone blade was like a giant python coiling in the air, and the sword aura swept through the void, shooting stars and sand in all directions. It was like a dragon or a snake as it furiously slashed toward Lin Chen's head. It was Ji Qingming and Gu Tianxie. The two of them had been beaten up before, and they were very clear about Lin Chen's strength. They immediately attacked with killing moves. Bang! Slash! The five-colored dragon roared angrily into the sky. The spear blocked the endless starlight, and the tip of the spear twisted and destroyed the sword aura. The dragon force was like a wild dragon, and the fist with the metal calamity profound handle was wrapped around it. Rumble! The youth's robe was as white as snow, and his fist was covered with the metal calamity profound handle. His entire body emitted an indestructible light. The black-robed youth was cold and stern. He stood against the wind with the five-colored dragon spear in his hand, blocking Ji Qingming and Gu Tianxia head-on. Damn, this isn't his cloning technique. He's so strong. His clones are far from this level. The tip of Ji Qingming's sword blocked the five-colored spear tip that was coming at him. He glanced at the white, clothed young man who was fighting with Gu Tianxia from the corner of his eyes. Every punch and kick of his was filled with a terrifying amount of pure strength. The metal calamity profound handle was flowing all over his body, and even a top-grade 7th rank weapon couldn't hurt him. He was fighting Gu Tianxia at close range. This was definitely not his cloning technique. Ji Qingming was almost certain that he had fought with Lin Chen before. His clones were far from the level of these people. Ha ha, you don't have anyone by your side. I'll also fight you. Wild Zhongju laughed. With the meteor hammer in his hand, his aura soared to the sky. He suddenly turned into a streak of starlight and smashed down on Lin Chen's head. Rip! The dagger drew a golden light and went for Lin Chen's neck. It was Yin Jinghong who had made a move to assassinate Lin Chen. Bang! 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 3 explosions sounded almost at the same time. Wild Zhongju was forced to retreat. His arms were numb from the shock, and Yin Jinghong was sent flying. He spat out blood and fell to the side. It was impossible to see who had made the move. All the geniuses stared blankly at the moment when Lin Chen slowly stepped onto the ancient altar. Their eyes were trembling and their mouths were trembling. Some of the geniuses were about to go crazy. It was too terrifying. All 7 geniuses on the genius ranking were blocked. What kind of god was this damn Black Horse Club? They were simply too strong. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.